and mysteriously of a husband deeply respected, dearly loved. To Valleydale then comes Dr. Susan to face a future filled with problems, to work, to love, to hope. Staunchly behind her in her struggles stands her husband's father, doughty, lovable old Dr. Howard Chandler.
What's that, Dr. Brown? You say my daughter-in-law can't take over my clinic for me? Because she's a woman? Why, confound it, she's a doctor, isn't she? And a fine one, too. What's being a woman got to do with it? Things are coming to a pretty pass in this town when anything like that can go on.
Caring tenderly for the old doctor, mourning for her lost son, the doctor's wife, Miranda.
We must let Susan see how we miss him. We mustn't make it any harder for her. But it will be strange seeing Susan without him.
Adjusting themselves gradually to strange new surroundings, Susan's 12-year-old children, the twins, Marilyn and Dickie.
Now, Marilyn, for Pete's sake, we're home now. Will you quit feeling sorry for yourself?
I'm not crying because I'm sorry. I'm mad.
Gosh, Mother, she's mad because they were all yelling, "Their mother is a doctor," like it was a freak or something. And I told them to quit yelling.
Still jealous of Susan, who married the man she hoped to win, the mayor's daughter, Annabelle Waite.
Well, I do hope I haven't changed as much as Susan these last 5 years. But they do say the tropical sun brings out lines on a person's face. Well, after all, you can't tell...
Scornful of all things local, the big businessman, Samuel Blodgett.
Let a woman doctor operate on me? I should say not. I want the best doctor in the country, and I want him quick. And I don't care what the cost. You hear me?
Indebted to Susan for restored self-respect, a new grip on life, and in love with her, Arnold Briggs.
Is it your husband who stands between us, Susan? Aren't you sure yet that he's never coming back? Susan, please, when will you realize the fact that you're...
And faithful to the husband she may never see again. Loyal, tender, strong Dr. Susan.
I'm fond of you, Arnold. I really am. But no matter how many other people give up hope, no matter how many years go by, my husband will never be dead to me.
And so the intricate pattern of the lives of the people of Valleydale weaves its way toward destiny. You can follow this thrilling drama tomorrow and every weekday, Monday through Friday, on most of these stations. Remember, the life and love of Dr. Susan in the Eastern Time Zone at 2:15, in the Central Time Zone at 1:15, in the Mountain Time Zone at 12:15, and on the Pacific Coast at 2:15. Be with us then, won't you? And thank you, Mr. DeMille, very much indeed.
Back now in Hollywood for a brief word with Lionel Barrymore, Maureen O'Sullivan, and Edward Arnold.
I don't know how many in our audience, Mr. DeMille, can recall Peter Grimm from the time it was the biggest hit on Broadway. But those who do will certainly remember the fuss you and Belasco stirred up with your idea of having a dead man return to the world, even on a stage.
I believe the words they used most frequently in describing it were revolutionary and provocative.
It must be a source of great satisfaction to you, Mr. DeMille, to have seen the success of other plays along the same general lines, like Berkeley Square and Oswald Bond and Death Takes a Holiday. But the story of Peter Grimm, Mr. DeMille, remains as gripping today as it must have been then. I'm sure it will always be a great play.
I think you're right, Maureen, because the subject it deals with is so fascinating, filled with so many possibilities. I wonder if we'll ever know what's waiting for us beyond.
Well, probably not, Eddie. But one of the most inspiring things about life can be our thoughts of what lies ahead when life's done. Such thoughts can be a shield against all misfortune and the kindest of teachers, whose only lesson is the golden rule. Years ago, I lost a friend. His name's familiar to many of you, Charles Frohman. He was one of the hundreds who went down on the Lusitania, and he left behind a message I'll never forget. Why fear death? It's the most beautiful adventure in life. Well, good night.
Good night.
Good night, C.B.
Good night, Lionel. We hope you three return again. Good night.
Listen for the announcement of next week's Stars and Plays. Mr. DeMille brings it to you in a moment. Maureen O'Sullivan is now starring in a new Tarzan picture with Johnny Weissmuller. Edward Arnold who appeared through courtesy of B.P. Schulberg, is seen next in Paramount's Man About Town. Peter Holden's current RKO film is The Great Man Votes. Louis Silvers is from 20th Century Fox Studio, where he directed music for The Three Musketeers. Here's Mr. DeMille.
Among the recent hits of stage and screen, none met with greater acclaim than the drama awaiting you here next Monday night. Written for Broadway by George S. Kaufman and Edna Ferber, its title is Stage Door. Based on the struggles of a group of young girls seeking theatrical careers. You'll hear this brilliant play with the same two stars you saw in the film version, Ginger Rogers and Adolphe Menjou. And co-starred with them the girl who's making such a hit in the Citadel, Rosalind Russell. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Ginger Rogers, Rosalind Russell, and Adolphe Menjou in Stage Door. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Broadcasting from the Wade Lynn Studios, we are WRGG LP Greencastle.
Good evening. Welcome to Around Your Community. I'm your host, Dave Kipp. We chat with a representative of one of several select organizations that provide key community services in the Greencastle area. Well, good evening. I'm Dave Kipp, host for Around Your Community, which provides local community service organizations the opportunity to share with you the latest news regarding their activities and how you can avail yourselves to that activity. Tonight, we share the airways with Valerie Myers. She's Interim Executive Director of the Greencastle Antrim Chamber of Commerce. Valerie, always good to have you here.
Thanks, Dave.
You always have a lot of information to update, and we really appreciate what you do with the Chamber here in Greencastle Antrim area. As we all know, the COVID event through 2020 just about turned our lives upside down. So much so that one of the most celebrated Greencastle traditions, namely Heritage Christmas, at one point was on the chopping block. Right, Valerie?
Yeah, it felt a little like looking through something at a telescope, and it was there for a minute and then not,
it was
and
going,
back and forth. Yeah.
Well, the spirit of Scrooge is not going to prevail in 2020 here in Greencastle. Although a bit modified, the celebration of Heritage Christmas will light up downtown Greencastle. And thanks for your efforts, and I'm sure many other folks, we are on track to having a Christmas Heritage here in Greencastle this year. Mm-hmm. So where can folks go to review the information that we're sharing here this evening after we broadcast this?
Well, I always love talking with people, so go ahead and call our phone number if you like. That's 597-4610, of course, area code 717-597-4610. Or you can go online to our website. That's greencastlepachamber.org.
And also, you're located where? If they want to stop in and say
hi? And absolutely. We will have some things that you will want to stop in for, which we can touch on. The street address is 217 East Baltimore, and that is right here in Greencastle.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, there was a point where Heritage Christmas was a no-go. And then, bottom line, we're going with it. Yep. Greencastle's going to light up, a little bit modified, but we're going to step down through the activities that are available. And you can, now this year I noticed, looking through those activities, a lot of sponsors for this year's celebration. How many sponsors have stepped up to make all this possible? I know there's quite a few.
Right. We have a great number of what we would call our prime sponsors who are contributing some of the larger amounts, and that even includes our township and our borough who are helping with our tree sponsorships. And then we have numbers that are behind the scenes helping with our postage and with our brochure, with our Lights of Love. Just so many of our great businesses that's hanging tough with us this year.
Well, we want to give them recognition when we talk about these events, so we will be doing that. You have a brochure that's going to be mailed out about the holiday coming up, right?
This is always an exciting thing to share because our brochure is sponsored by Graphics Universal and our postage by West Penn Power. And they have done done such a thorough, patient job in putting this all together. It includes the details of the events that will be happening, as well as some of the forms that you'll want to be able to access, like your Lights of Love form, your Lighted Up contest form if you want to participate in lighting your house up for the season. The fun new thing that we have this year is a Naughty or Nice contest where we're going to be nominating our friends or our family or our enemies to Santa's Naughty or Nice list.
And we were talking about putting Scrooge on the naughty list this year when he tried to cancel Heritage Christmas, right?
That's right.
Now, that brochure will be mailed out. Who all will get that brochure, and when will that be mailed?
Sure. That goes to all the 17225 mailing address. If you would like a copy and you're not within that address, you can check some of your local businesses here in Greencastle. We'll be dropping off some hard copies or here at the chamber, and that should be hitting the mailboxes by about the 6th or 7th.
That's coming up very quickly.
Yay.
That's next week.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I know.
Okay. Well, you can be looking for that in your mail, a brochure about the Christmas here. Well, I understand coming up for the holidays, there's going to be some free parking in downtown Greencastle. How does that work?
Well, isn't that a blessing? Because our citizens, our community members can pull right up in front of the business that they want to visit and not have to put in their coins or worry about any of that. It's sponsored this year again by Gano Paving.
Okay.
And the date has been bumped up. Usually we start around the Shop Small Saturday.
Right.
But this year the borough has granted it all the way from November the 2nd.
Wow. And that's even closer than the brochure going out. That's coming up first of the week.
Yeah.
First of the week,
so Thanks to the borough.
Free parking throughout Greencastle, wherever you want to be there, and that includes the whole business district downtown, wherever there's meters, right?
That's right.
Well, that's great, and that's sponsored by Gano Paving. They've done a great job of being a part of our community in a lot of other ways as well, and we thank them for all that they've been doing. Well, we have a downtown and around town open house coming up. That sounds pretty incredible if you read through the website and the brochure that's coming out. And what can you tell us about that open house?
So a number of our businesses, both downtown here and in the square and its auxiliaries, as well as the businesses around town, are participating in an open house. That can be anything from offering, a little bit of hot cocoa or some cookies to drawings or special sales. So a number of our retailers are participating in that.
I understand that a lot of the merchants that are participating are going to be offering discounts, refreshments, specials, and it's just going to be basically an open house. It's not just one business, but it's going to be a number of chamber businesses that you can frequent and take advantage of what they're offering. And that is all. I know that's on the webpage. I went through the webpage yesterday, and if you go to the Around Town Open House, you can get a listing of all the businesses. Anything else you'd like to? I was going to read down through the businesses that are on your webpage, unless you want to do that.
I'll do that because I'm real excited to share the last one, too. Of course, the shop is the anchor for this. Chris Johnston, there on Baltimore Street, does a great job of decorating her whole setup in there. It's just going to be so lovely. All things country across the street from her, alternative choices, the Bean and Biscuit, the Center of Balance on Jefferson. They have a new reflexology walk, which is where you can walk and, the stones target a certain point of the pressure on your body. ELM department store will be having a great sale. ELM shoes right next to them. Teal Blossom Boutique, the lady shop that just had its ribbon cutting earlier this month, will be open, as well as Growing with Music, that's now under the umbrella of Cumberland Valley School of Music. And just outside of town then, too, we have Greencastle Ace Hardware, Lumber Direct, and as of yesterday, we have a new member, Wildflower Apparel.
Oh, that's
She's
great.
right there on South Antrim Way.
Wow.
So look for her to be having a special
A nice collection of businesses.
Yeah.
And they cover a whole gamut of products or services, so you can avail yourself to any one of those. That is what, November 7th?
That's November the 7th.
It sounds like you'd spend a full day.
Yeah, you could. You
at
could
the open
just
house.
stop in from one to the next. And what'll be fun about that is it'll usher in the whole season, I think. And just reminding people, just shop local, really build up these small businesses that we have.
With the last few months, it's been very tough on small businesses to succeed and remain healthy. And this is a great way that we as a community can reach out to each of them and say thank you for being there, for not folding and being a part of our community. It's just a prime opportunity for all of us to do that.
Well said, Dave. Couldn't have said it better.
Sure. Well, I think that my heart goes out because I know they really struggled. It's been really tough, but we're glad that the open house is going to take place. And there are several businesses here that are relatively new to the community. I know the Bean and Biscuit is a new one. See here, the other one was the
Teal Blossom Boutique.
Teal Blossom Boutique, So there's a lot of opportunity to introduce yourself to some new businesses, as well as saying thank you and show your support for those that have already been in existence. Very good. You have a program called Santa's Naughty. That's the theme for the whole Christmas thing, right? I like that. Santa's Naughty or Nice List nomination. What's this whole Naughty or Nice list about?
I just get the grins and giggles when I think about this because this year we do have some really naughty things on the list, don't we? We have, Scrooge. We have the Abominable Snowman. Maybe, maybe not, but we definitely have COVID. So just in tongue-in-cheek, sponsored by Orrstown Bank, we're going to be sending out postcards to your friends, your family, or your enemies who deserve to be on one or the other of the list. So we're excited to offer this to the community, that information will be in the brochure, will be available at the chamber and on our website, and you'll be able to nominate those folks, and we'll send them a postcard to let them know what list they're on.
Well, you know what? In all the seriousness of what we've experienced the last few months, it's nice to be able to have something that puts a grin on people's faces. And this certainly does it. And I can see it over your face.
It just tickles me.
Santa's Naughty or Nice list now starts November 7th. And how long do people have to nominate?
All the way through December the 20th. So that'll give us time to get those last few postcards out to folks.
And this is sponsored by the Orrstown Bank.
Yes, thank you
Good job,
so much.
Orrstown Bank. We appreciate that. Also, there's a Greencastle ornament available. Now, is this something that's been every year? There's been a special ornament?
Yeah, so this is the 30th year for the Greencastle Heritage Christmas. And this year's the ornament is Santa himself on there with his bag of toys, and he's looking suspiciously curious of whether he's going to be distributing those toys or not.
So you decide if he's going to be naughty or nice, right?
Yep.
So that's the Christmas tree ornament, and where are they available, and how can people get those?
This year we've partnered with a number of our retailers to help make the purchase of those more accessible. So the ornament will be available at some of our retailers, and those are All Things Country, Carl's Drugstore, Lumber Direct, and The Shop. And if you catch them on an off hour and you want to stop by the chamber, we have them available too. They're $20, and that includes your tax.
All right. Well, make yourself available to those. And what a great collection for your Christmas tree and to hand down to your kids, future generations as well. And do you have any idea how many years they've been doing an ornament? I don't know.
I want to say this is the 30th year.
So every Christmas. Wow. That's quite a tradition here at Greencastle, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Relating to that, there is an event, you referred to it, Lights of Love.
So our Lights of Love is sponsored by Blaze Alexander Chevrolet again this year. And it's a terrific program where you can commemorate, memorialize an individual that you care about. So you would contact the chamber. The form also would be available in the brochure that will be going out. You let us know which person it is that you want to either have a light in memory of or in celebration of, and we symbolically put the light on the tree, and then their name goes on beautiful scroll that will be hung in the Growing with Music window over the Christmas season.
There are a lot of names on those lists I've seen in past years. A lot of lights on the Christmas tree, and that's really special. So you can begin expressing interest for that November 13th.
Well, Actually, as soon as you get your brochure, I'm taking registrations for those now.
Okay.
The deadline is November the 13th, so we can have that turned around and have those hung in the store, Growing with Music, by the time that the tree will be lit, which would be November.
Maybe we'll just mention that a while because of the crowd that usually draws and the COVID situation. That's one of the modifications this year. We will not be doing a public lighting as such, and but the tree will be lit, and it still will be lit.
The tree will come to life over that weekend before Thanksgiving, Lord willing. The tree will be lit by November the 20th, and you can stroll through the square, still watch for your traffic, take your family pictures. We were unable to get the road closure this year for the tree lighting.
Sure. And that's one of the great things I think is traditional for downtown Greencastle is to stroll through downtown, see the decorations in the stores, and they do a great job of displaying for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. The Light It Up contest, it's not just the tree and the square that are going to be lit up, but there's also the opportunity for Antrim Township residents and borough residents to light it up in a contest environment, right?
Don't we love this? The Light It Up contest is open to homeowners or renters, I guess, if you want to, decorate the outside of your abode with lights and blow-ups and music, however they do those. Anyone within the township or the borough, we would just need to have your information of where you live, and your name and your phone number. That there's a coupon that's going to be in the brochure that you can fill out and return to the chamber, or sign up online or give us a call. And then you go on the list of houses people can drive around and take a look at and vote for their most favorite one. And every dollar vote that gets put in goes back then to the Greencastle Antrim Food Pantry.
Wow. So to vote, it is $1 a vote. You can vote as often as you want, but the proceeds from that money collected go to the Greencastle Antrim Food Pantry. What a worthy cause that is. And there are some great lighted up contestants each year. They really go wild. So that is great. So you want to watch for that, and you will publish the locations where the contestants are, and people can do that. And this is sponsored by Antrim Insurance Agency, right?
That's right. Thank you for them.
Thank you to them. And it's a small but important part. There's a Santa's mailbox in the square. Santa's mailbox in the square, that might be your primary way to let Santa know what you want for Christmas. And so where and when is that?
Okay, so Santa's mailbox will be going in the square by the November 20th time frame. And you can't miss it. It's a bright red, sturdy mailbox, and it's sponsored by Peak Performance. They've done that again for us this year, and I really encourage the kids to, or the adults, to go ahead and put your letter right in there to Santa. And if you would like a reply, I have some friends that would be willing to pass that on.
How special would that be?
Yes, we just need to make sure that your address is included on your letter.
And that's scheduled to begin November 20th. There's a Shop Small sweepstakes. That's been around for a few years, especially in this environment for small businesses. A very good way to reach out to small businesses. Explain the Shop Small sweepstakes.
Right. Here's another thing that will be included in your brochure that you'll get in the mail, so you have no excuse not to shop at 5 different chamber member businesses. Just hang on to your receipt, bring them to the chamber, let us see them and check them off, along with your ticket, and we'll put your name in for a drawing for a cash prize.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
I mean, all you do is need 5 receipts, right?
All you got to do is shop and that can be, your Sunnyway grocery store, that can be your hardware store, that can be your clothing shop in town.
And as a part of that, there's a Small Business Saturday. It's a very special event, right?
Yep. So that Small Business Saturday this year is sponsored
McRae Heating and Air Service.
Yeah. So Small Business Saturday is sponsored by McRae Heating and Air Service again this year. And that is a day when we just really encourage all of our community. It's a nationwide event. Shop in your town, shop local, shop small, support those businesses that really glue your community together.
Right. You're right about that. Small business is the heartbeat of America, really, as a nation. You take away the small businesses, and there's it would kind of implode, because that's what it's all about. But there's the opportunity again to reach out to small businesses in our community, November 28th. Then that leads up to the 30th annual Heritage Christmas in the Square, which, by golly, we're going to light up Greencastle this year, right?
That's right. What a great time. We'll have some entertainment down in the square. We'll have some community groups participating, either with some handouts of some goodies or some treats. We'll have some food vendors down there this year, where you can purchase a meal as well. So if you want something more than a cookie or hot cocoa, you're welcome to get some.
And that will be 2 Friday nights that we'll have Heritage in the Square.
Right, and that starts from 5:30 till 8:30.
Right, it's December 4th and 11th.
That's right.
All right, so a lot of activities there. Now, the tree also has a sponsor this year, and that's sponsored by
Loyal Antrim Township and our borough of Greencastle. Both really do us a wonderful consideration in giving us the funds so that we can have that brought in, because it has to be cut down and set up and lighted up and all of those parts and pieces.
And
so
don't forget, part of that tree is the lights of love that we mentioned earlier, and that's how you can be a part of lighting up that Christmas tree. Is GW Electric putting all the electric together again? Bob's done that for how many years now?
I don't even know, but bless his heart.
I'm going to have to ask him. I see him each Sunday pretty much, and I'm going to have to ask him and thank him for reaching out, because I always see the GW Electric truck down there connecting all those lights and the tree lights, and he gets a little nervous when it's time to flip the switch.
Yeah. Oh, I would too.
It's all that wiring connectivity. But anyway, so that's great. Thank you, Bob Wolf, for what you do in helping pull together and make the square so beautiful with all the lights.
And let me mention the Kennedy family. The tree donation comes from the Kennedy family this year.
All right.
And Bob has already gone out and scouted it out and talked to him, and we're ready to go.
He's a great guy, a very active guy. Well, the annual Heritage Christmas tree honors not only living loved ones and those of our memory, but it also stands as a tribute to the entire Greencastle community. And I think evidence of that is all the sponsors that have come forward for all that we've talked about. And there are probably sponsors beyond what we mentioned here who are helping to make it possible and donate to make Greencastle a great, great community and a great Heritage Christmas.
Right. I would love to, if I may, go ahead and just run through this list, because we do have some really solid community groups that are businesses that are making this happen. Of course, we've mentioned the township and the borough with the Christmas tree, and the Lighted Up contest being sponsored by Antrim Insurance Agency, Blaze Alexander Chevrolet with our Lights of Love. F&M Trust is helping us this year with our Pictures with Santa. They always do that every year. Thank you so much. Gano Paving with our free parking, Graphics Universal with our brochure. Herald Mail Media is working with us this year to create a cool little booklet with some family activities that we're going to pass out to folks. Lumber Direct, how faithful they've been in sponsoring our holiday house this year, which will be back down in the square. It'll be a center of information if you need anything during those Friday nights. M&T Bank is supporting us with the Friday night entertainment. Thank you for that, because we have to have our DJs and we have to have all the wires and the people coming and going. So appreciate that. McCrae Heating and Air Services with our Small Business Saturday. Orrstown Bank, as we mentioned, is our Santa's Naughty or Nice list sponsor. And Peak Performance Physical Therapy is our sponsor for Santa's Mailbox. Premier HVAC is our decorating sponsor, which is a great resource for just helping us bring those lights to life, bring the colors, the wreaths, the bows, all of those things. We couldn't have Christmas without Uncle Bean, and Waste Management is our sponsor for Uncle Bean. So if the kids want to have their balloon treats this year, they'll be there. Wellspan with our luminaries is sponsoring again. And as we mentioned, our West Penn Power is sponsoring our postage, which was, as you can imagine, we've got the postage issue.
Yes.
And
well, if you're sending to everyone in the 17225 zip code, That's a lot.
So thank you, West Penn. That
yes,
is
thank you very much.
Such a resource, and I can't wait for folks to get their brochure because it not only lists our premier sponsors, but our gold sponsors, our silver sponsors, our patron sponsors, and there's so many friends behind the scene too, our volunteers who are helping us out. So thank you to everyone.
It's a great opportunity where the community does come together in the true sense of the word. Well, we mentioned a lot of sponsors here. Are there any other opportunities? Do you need any additional sponsors, or are you pretty well taken care of with what we've mentioned here tonight?
We do have sponsorship still available. So if you would like to talk to me about that, I'd be more than willing to talk to you. Again, you just call the chamber at 597-4610 or send me a quick email, and you can do that at Valerie@greencastlepachamber.org.
Well, you think about all this activity, and of course, all your staff at the chamber pulls this together, right? Which is you and one other person, which is a part-time person, right?
Yeah.
You guys, I'm sure, till all this is over, I'm sure you want to catch your breath a little bit. It's pretty hectic right now, right? Pulling it together.
It is. There are a lot of exciting, fun things happening.
And this is your first Christmas Heritage project, wearing the executive director hat as an interim director. So you are the top dog for pulling this together, right? Of course, you have a board that probably helps you with that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But are you going to get out of Dodge for some R&R after this is over? Catch your breath a little bit?
At heart, I'm an introvert, so I'll probably just lay low, visit my family, read some books, do some craft projects. I don't have any big plans.
Well, that's great, too. That's great, too. But I encourage everybody to come out, and when you go to any of these businesses and when you get your brochure in the mail, you'll see who the sponsors are. Go to those sponsors and thank them for what they've done, because that's what pulls it together and makes this a great opportunity.
That's right.
And you're just pulling it all together as the coordinator and making it happen. But it's all these individual volunteers and corporate volunteers and other folks in the community that make it happen.
That's right.
And Scrooge, we don't want you here. You can leave town. We're having Heritage Christmas in downtown Greencastle. Valerie, anything else that you'd like to mention that we haven't mentioned here? We've covered a lot of ground.
I do see your note there with the Hometown Heroes.
Yes,
we have a great addition with our Lights of Love this year. We're going to hang some banners with all of our Hometown Hero names in them.
That's great. That's great.
That's just going to be a treat to include them in our special memory for all those folks. So
and we need to thank our current veterans as well as those that have served. It's a real sacrifice to serve in the military, and we appreciate that sacrifice from our current veterans in service and those that have served in the past. And it's just great to see Greencastle and Waynesboro have the banners up. And I understand you've got a lot of banners up here in Greencastle now. I encourage people to go around and see those banners. Are you going to be taking any more orders for any more banners coming up in the future?
Right. So it will be a rolling application. We'll continue to take those nominations for that. You can just contact the chamber for information on that. Of course, we won't be hanging any new banners until spring of next year. The ones that are up now will be there through Veterans Day.
Well, there's lots of polls out there, but there's lots of veterans.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage everyone to go out and take a look at those banners, because it's been a nice job. You did really well in that.
Wow.
Well, my guest this evening is Valerie Myers. She's Interim Executive Director of the Greencastle Antrim Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about the 30th Heritage Christmas here in Greencastle. Valerie, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, and thank you for all the effort you've put in. Your board, your volunteers, your sponsors in the community. Thank you all for giving us a good Christmas in spite of the rough 2020 that we've had. Thank you, Valerie.
That's right. Everybody on there that is on the nice list for this year.
That's right. And I like that, the naughty and nice list.
Naughty and nice.
I'm going to have to look into that. I think I have a few candidates for both, I do believe.
I know.
Well, Valerie, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We will be back next Thursday, 7 o'clock, with another Around Your Community here at 93.7 WRGG and on the web, WRGG.org.
From high above the broadcast house in downtown Greencastle, we are WRGG-LP Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Li Ling Tan. 3 people were killed in a knife attack at a church in the southern French city of Nice in what the French president is calling an Islamist terrorist attack. In England, a new study says 100,000 people are catching COVID-19 every day, and existing measures to control the virus are not working. In the U.S., President Donald Trump and rival Joe Biden are campaigning in the swing state of Florida, as new economic data shows U.S. GDP growing at a record pace.
We're all staying at home more now. You'll want your place looking its very best. Mark's Lawn Care is ready to help. Mulch, decorative stone, gravel, and topsoils are available at the lower level of 400 North Antrim Way. You may web order at markslawncare.org or call in and order for no contact of customer with employee service. Delivery can be arranged, just $10 in the borough of Greencastle. At location pickup is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturdays, 8 till 2. For all your landscaping needs, it's Mark's Lawn Care, North Antrim Way, Greencastle.
Hey, Mike Stinger here, the big guy at your hometown hardware, also known as Lumber Direct. All joking aside, folks, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all our supporters that came to us during this pandemic. I don't have a big hurrah, just a sincere and heartfelt moment of thanks for our employees, customers, and friends that just stopped by to say hello. Also, a special moment for all the local businesses that have supported our community as well. Again, thanks from all of us at Lumber Direct, 10 East Water Avenue in Greencastle.
Lumber Direct, one of the fine sponsors supporting the programming at WRGG.
WRGG 93.7 is your not-for-profit community radio station. Radio personalities are volunteers. However, there are still expenses to run the radio station. When making donations, in honor of, in memory of, or congratulations gifts, please consider WRGG in your community giving. You can mail or hand deliver your donation to WRGG at 113 South Carlisle Street, Greencastle, PA. Thank you for your listenership and support.
WRGG weather. Now the weather forecast for WRGG. Occasional showers, lower 40s overnight. Showers ending early Friday, then brisk and cooler with partly sunny skies. North wind at 15 to 20 with gusts to 40, the high 52. Clear and calm with a hard freeze Friday night, the low 28. Sunshine on Saturday, the high 50. Another hard freeze Saturday night, the low 31. Increasing clouds Sunday, the high 57. For WRGG, I'm now cast meteorologist Chad Merrill.
WRGG FM. Live from the studios of WRGG 93.7 FM in downtown Greencastle, Mid Penn Broadcasting presents Chalk Talk. On air at WRGG 93.7 FM and online at WRGG.org and MidPennBroadcasting.com. This is Chalk Talk, a program dedicated to Franklin County High School sports. Now, here's Gary Klein and John Freeman.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Chalk Talk for this Thursday night. October the 29th, and joining us tonight, John Freeman and Mike Mondadoro. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. I don't know if I'm on.
You're on.
Getting a little misty-eyed over here, Gary. You know, the big reunion show.
The big reunion. It's been so long, right?
It has been. It's happened. COVID is trying to everybody be safe.
Yeah. and that's why we haven't been here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're all 6 feet apart. It's all good.
Yeah, we're
half.
Yeah,
4,
yeah, right.
Close to 6.
Close enough. Yeah.
It's a perfect night.
Yeah, this is. And John and I were talking before we went on about all the things going on, namely the Harrisburg situation with where they had a game. Well, they fought to get a game, literally fought. Even Micaiah Parsons offered to pay a school to play them.
Right.
Yeah, offered to pay to play. Harrisburg finally gets an 11th hour game with State College, number 1 seed. And then they come up with a COVID case right after the pairings were announced, and they ended up having to forfeit. Now, could they have not moved Wilson up a spot in the rankings at that point?
you're asking the wrong person because I think they should have. I think it was early enough to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
But once the brackets were set, the information that we were given was once the brackets were set, there were going to be no changes to the brackets, and if anybody missed a game because of COVID, it would be a forfeit. And I get that if Wednesday, Thursday, if you call Thursday, Wednesday, and say, hey, we can't play, we have a COVID situation. Okay, great. All right, we're sorry about that, but we got to forfeit the game. But this was pretty much the day the brackets were out.
It was within 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, and at that point you can be like, all right, well, let's bump Wilson up, and so the way Harrisburg manipulated the situation and then got in, and then to not play, which deprived Wilson of an opportunity. It's tough. It's just been so tough.
Yes, it has, and I agree that. It was within 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It was just happened to be right after the meeting. And I just don't like the idea of a forfeit in the playoffs like that. That's just, to me, is not that credible. You automatically move a team, in this case, to the championship game.
Right. And again, we got the information that was going to be, if something were to happen, that was going to be the case. And again, you understand it if you are Wednesday and the other team had already packed their equipment up for the year and there's no one to move and you get it. But that just happened so fast that I think you probably could have given Wilson a call today. Yeah. Stop packing your helmets and shoulder pads. You're going to play Friday.
Yes. Wilson's playing. I'm assuming Wilson is playing Friday, just not in the playoffs, because the regular season continues for 2 more weeks at least.
Correct.
Yeah. So they weren't even wrapping up the season. They were, their season is going to continue for a couple weeks. It just won't be for a District 3 championship. And again, it is. I mean, you talk about participation, and the reason they tried to play this year is because they want to give the kids something to do. It just almost seems like it kind of goes against that, where you could have given a team a chance to qualify for the postseason that wouldn't have, and now they don't get the opportunity. But it's tough. I mean, they're following the letter of the law, what they said they were going to do. So, I mean, I guess you really can't blame them for that. But, I'm sure if you're a Wilson fan or a Wilson player or a Wilson parent, you certainly wish they could have just maybe bent the rules a little bit.
Well, we got emails all week before the Harrisburg situation. And the emails we were getting were things from District 3 saying, hey, it's unethical behavior to try to move games and schedule games to get into districts and add games in before the deadline. That's unethical. You shouldn't be doing that. And my response... I responded back to District 3 on one of their emails, and my response was, one, you had to know this was coming when you decided to have a playoff. 2, you created the problem by deciding to have a playoff.
Yes, and 3, they're playing by the rules, Mike. Harrisburg technically did nothing wrong with what they did. No, absolutely nothing.
Correct. They were all playing within the rules, but here's the problem, Gary. They're taking less team to the playoffs, but they're starting them a week earlier. And then if you're 17, 18, or 19, you're not jockeying to get into the 16th seed to play number 1 and get killed the first week of the playoffs. Yeah. Like you're like, all right, my schedule's the way it is. Maybe we make it, maybe we don't. Yeah. If you're the 5 seed and they're only taking 4 teams, or the 6 seed and they're only taking 4, you're jockeying in because some schools only played their league games, and some of their leagues were horrible. So you're like, well, that 1 seed's not really a 1 seed. They not a typical 1 seed year. Yeah. So even probably a 7 or 8 has a good chance of winning. So everybody started playing with their schedules to kind of get in, and I just think it was as District 3 was calling people unethical and you're doing things to try to make it for the playoffs. It was like. This has been a very unique year anyway. Yeah. Why we're still baffled on why we were adamant about having District 3 in state playoffs, knowing that some teams weren't going to play, some leagues weren't going to play outside their league. So there were so many stipulations and things going on, and then there's a ton of schools right now that are looking for games next week because the other team they were playing is now in districts, and now they don't have a game, so they lost the game on their schedule. It's just been a mess.
It has been. And Chambersburg, by the way, is one that don't have a game. this week. They did not find. They ended up playing East Pennsboro on the 13th. But Chambersburg tried to get a game. They could not find a fit.
Right.
They had an opportunity. They didn't want to go to Philadelphia to play, which is
understandable.
Understandable. And everything else was 3 and 4A schools. And Jeremy was looking for a good match. And actually ended up with one with East Pennsboro, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that, and we talk about this all the time, or at least I do in my building, is East Cupcake's not available. And that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants a game they can win, right?
Yes.
So they put out there that they want a game, and then someone like Harrisburg goes, "Oh, we'll play," and they go, "Oh yeah, we don't want to play you.
We're good.
We don't want to play you. We don't want to play this guy because they're better, and we want a game we can win." Well, the teams that you can beat they don't want to play you either.
Yes, right. Yeah.
It's like they're sitting there going, no. We're waiting for James Buchanan to answer.
Right.
That's what, everyone at their own individual level where they are, they want to play a competitive game and they want a chance to win. So they're looking for specific teams to play. And it's just been tragic that with all the things going on early in July and June, everyone was like, hey, we want to get a season in, see if we can get these kids, games, see if we can get a season. And then districts came in, then PIAA states came in, and now all of a sudden everybody's crazy and going, we got to get the states. We got to get the states. So that's crazy.
I thought going into the year, this was going to be the year that schools, that the playoffs would be secondary, just get through the season. But like you said, it's turned out like any other season. You're jockeying to get
winning
the playoffs.
Is never secondary.
Winning, yeah, exactly.
Well, just look what Harrisburg did. They couldn't play because fall sports got shut down. Obviously, Harrisburg is run by the state, so when the governor said, you can't do anything, they had to shut it down. Well, then once the PIAA said, well, you can play until the 28th of November if you don't make playoffs, they were like, all right, well, let's get back in. Well, they got in, and then you only had to play 4 games to qualify for districts. Well, they got 3 games in. They're like, oh, we need one more game. Let's, and they weren't the only one. I think Line Mountain was playing games on Tuesdays and Fridays, playing 2 games
right.
a week.
Yes, they were. Line Mountain was another one.
Let's just try to kill the kids to play.
I know Harrisburg, I think they played a midweek game as well. What are the PIAA regulations? How many games is there a rule where you can only play so many games a week, or is there so many days you have to have between games, or could you theoretically play Monday, Wednesday, Friday if you wanted to? Not that anybody would ever recommend that.
I think you can play twice a week. I think you can play 2 in 1 week, and I only say that because if you get a rain out Friday, a lot of teams play Monday, then come back and play Friday. So I do believe you can play 2 in a week. I don't know about 3. I've never. It's never even.
No one ever think of that.
Yeah, wouldn't even come to my thing. And then even the Harrisburg State College game, and I don't know because I didn't see the game or anything about it, but I was under the impression that State College was sending their JVs.
Which very well may have been because they had just played Friday. And I think it's Harrisburg who ended up with 3 games in 8 days, and State College just is about the same.
Like Mike said about, if you have a rain out on Friday, you play Monday. You're going to go 10 days between games and 4 days. So you're still playing 3 games over the time span you would normally play 3 games. This was like Friday, Tuesday, Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a Friday, Tuesday, Friday.
So, this isn't like, we couldn't play here, so we got to bump it ahead a few days. This was like, we're playing our normal game, sliding the game in the middle, and then playing another game.
And then when districts and states come into play, safety of the kids is irrelevant.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's an irrelevant case.
It's back to normal.
I always go back to the Little League pitch count, and I say, we made a pitch count in Little League to protect kids from adults.
Yeah.
And we're still doing it. We're still trying to make rules to protect the kids from the adults. We're like, man, some of these people are insane. Once they decided that maybe they could win a district title this year, well, go ahead and win a district title, but some of the best teams aren't even in it. You look, Mechanicsburg, if Ship doesn't beat East Pennsboro on Friday night, Mechanicsburg doesn't get in.
Yeah.
McDevitt doesn't get in this year. Hershey may, you
and they're undefeated.
You look at teams that aren't in, you're like, okay, so really you're going to win a district title, but it's really not it's an asterisk beside it.
Not the normal teams you see there.
Yeah, yes, it is. Definitely. And but when you're only basing it sometimes on 4 games, that's not even half a season. It's based on 10 games to get into the playoffs.
So most schools had 5 in at the cutoff. Harrisburg you had to have 4 in, but most had in 5. So four would get you in on the power rating, which then goes back to prove to everybody who's crying the blues next year or the year after when things get back to maybe if they ever get back to normal. But, if you don't play a game, it doesn't hurt you.
No.
It doesn't hurt you to not play. So if you don't play a 10-game schedule, it's okay.
Right, because your power ranking is based on the points you earn divided by the games you play.
Right.
So if you play, I may have fewer points than you, but because I played 9 games, you played 10, our ranking could be the exact same thing.
Right. And as long as I play 4, I qualify. So I can play 4 games, go undefeated, and shut it down for the year and wait for playoffs. So, it's crazy, and it's crazy to me that District 3 has taken such a stand on what they expect from schools. But you had, again, when the playoffs were limited, we had this. The same stuff happened 5-6 years ago. But then once they expanded to 16 teams in almost every sport, there wasn't anybody jockeying their schedule anymore because, you might move up a spot. You might move here or there. Maybe someone could do something like that. But again, no one at 19 was trying to get to 16 to get beat by number 1 in the first week in any sport.
Yes.
In any sport, they're like, we're good.
If we get there, great. If not, it's no
and probably more than likely, you're 17, 18, 19, maybe didn't even have a winning record.
Well, if you look at, usually when you get to that level of 16 teams out of, it's usually because they take roughly half. If you look at the classification, it's roughly half. And a 500 record puts you in the running pretty much in any district or in any classification.
Yeah.
And there's been years where sub 500 has got you in too. And now you look at 2020 and undefeated teams are not there.
Well, the absurd thing last year was, I think it was single A, and I can't remember the 2 teams, but there was only 2 or 3 teams in single A, and the second place team I think it was Fairfield, and they were 2-8. Yeah. They're playing for a district championship.
Yeah, they went automatically to a district.
I think there were 3 teams in single A last year.
Yeah,
Fairfield was the number 2 team going 2-8. So
right,
not a bad deal, Gary. You go 2-8, and you're playing for a district championship.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Can you imagine?
The coach went back to the school board and asked for a raise.
Yeah, we're
playoff championship. I need more money.
It looks good on the resume.
That was the thing when, if you remember back in the day, Scotland played when Scotland was open, and they played in the division with Shippensburg, Greencastle, Waynesboro. They played in that division, and they may have won 3 or 4 games. And then when they got into districts, they didn't play anybody that good.
Because they were a small school, a single A or double A.
Single A school playing all these big schools and competing. Maybe not winning them, but then when they got into the single A playoffs, it was like, man, there's no one as good as Waynesboro, Ship, or Greencastle in these games. We're good. So it does benefit the smaller schools on their schedule. But, the whole district thing is a mess. I remember back in the day when they only took 2 teams in 5A, or 4A back then, which is now our 6A division, but they only took 2. And then they went to 4, and then it was 8, and, and it was like, and there were still people missing out. And I've said, I will say it for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, I will always take a 3-7 team in the playoffs to make sure that every 8-2 gets in.
Yeah.
I think that's, if you're only taking 2, it's tough because if you're only taking 2 schools, there are a lot of number 3s out there that are good enough to win a district championship.
Right.
If you're taking 16, there's no number 17 team that's going to win a district championship.
Correct.
Very, 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 very unlikely. So, you have to take some teams that, maybe don't have a legitimate chance or have any chance.
To make sure that all the good teams get in.
Right. Yeah, again, like I said, the difference between 2 and 3, a 3 could easily be the 2 or a 1, but a 17 is not going to be the 1.
Yeah. So, it just happens. It just happens that way that some years there are some teams that get in that don't have a winning record, but I'd rather have that than an 8-1. Or 9-1, 8-2, 7-3 teams not get in. That's just not fair.
And even this year, you could have I'd have to go through each, listing and look at all the teams, but I'm sure there's some 5 and 6 teams that don't make the postseason that you could look at and go, I could see them very easily winning a district championship.
Well, yeah. Well, you have Bishop McDevitt for an answer. Yeah, that is always a threat to do that.
Well, I didn't get too upset when McDevitt didn't make it.
Oh, no.
I will get upset when the cheaters don't get in.
When the cheaters don't get in. Yeah, right.
The folks that recruit.
Yeah.
They stretch the rules a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah,
when
right.
They recruit. The Trinities, the McDevitt's, the private schools. They play it differently. They don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
And there's no boundaries with a private school. So parochial schools don't have boundaries. So you are stuck at the town of Greencastle. You're stuck by your boundary, and you can only get the kids that live in your boundaries and go to your school. But if you're someone like McDevitt, Delone, and Delone and Trinity,
makes life easier.
You can take anyone from the 7 surrounding districts.
Well, or the United States of America, or the world,
and overseas if you want, yeah,
and overseas,
or anywhere. I mean,
yeah.
You get down to Goretti down in Maryland. They have some. They've had their share of foreign-born players on their team.
But I give them Maryland. I give them credit, right? The private schools have their own league.
That is true.
They have their own championships. They have their own league.
Yes,
they can play public schools, but they have their own league and their own championships.
Yes, and that would be nice to have in Pennsylvania, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, we fought that battle many times, Gary.
Yeah, and we've lost it. We've lost it every time too.
And you're still going to lose it. Going to lose it every time they do it.
In other words, it's not happening.
No. Nope.
Not going to happen.
Not when you have the state legislature. It's in favor of school choice.
Yeah.
So, by having a bunch of people in favor of school choice, you're not going to get anyone saying, this was not good. So that is what it is, right?
Yep. And it's not going to change. They did make a few slight rule changes, though, didn't they?
Yeah, they did on some of the recruiting thing and transfers and whether you can play in the postseason or not. And, there have been some changes. But, like anything else, some of those don't really hold up when you can prove that somebody moved for different reasons, then it's all okay.
It's okay. All you have to do is come up with a way to make it okay.
Right,
yeah.
to make it all okay. So it's been fun. The COVID stuff has been exciting. We're trying to get through the rest of the fall season healthy and then figure out what we're going to do with wrestling.
Yes. Well, that's probably the big question, right? Wrestling.
Yeah.
Winter sports are still on pace to start at the normal time?
That's what we're told. PIAA had their meeting yesterday, and they were supposed to, they're going to provide guidelines like they did for fall sports. Those guidelines should be coming out in the next couple of days. And, what I'm hearing is that November 20th will be the start of first day of practice, normal start, normal whatever. Again, there'll be some differences like the big individual wrestling tournaments aren't going to take place. Some dual tournaments aren't going to take place. I don't know that. I think the spectator numbers are going to be just like they were for volleyball with 20% capacity of your gym. There's been some talk in wrestling that they're going to use 2 mats. So John and I wrestle first. Then the next match will be on the second mat while we mop this mat. So there's going to be some of that stuff going on. I don't know that. Who knows? I mean, not every school has 2 mats, so that'll be, can you do it?
Yep. And you mentioned the tournaments. Trojan Wars has already been canceled.
Yep. Beast of the East, Trojan Wars, a bunch of individual tournaments, and then dual tournaments. I think are only allowed to have maybe 6 teams. 4 or 6 was the number that I'm hearing. So it can't be a 20-team dual match anymore. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, with Trojan Wars, you had 50-plus teams coming in there.
Right. Yeah.
So obvious.
That was around-the-clock wrestling for 4 days, basically.
Yes, it was, from early in the morning till nighttime. Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows how that's going to all play out and what's going to happen with attendance and as the numbers keep going up on the state, if there'll be any changes with any of those things. So it's all very interesting.
It is. And
every day.
It's a fluid situation, Gary.
Yes, it is. Every day. And I figure hour to hour, minute to minute sometimes.
You're absolutely right. Every meeting that I've had this year, I say, whatever I'm telling you now can be different in an hour.
Yeah.
And then what I tell you later can be different in it's going to be, it could change while we're talking. I feel like every Mid Penn meeting we've had this year, that same day or the very next day, something has changed to completely eliminate everything we just figured out.
For example, when it was recommended there's no fall sports game during your meeting, didn't it? Yeah. After you were making all the plans, and then that put that up in the air for weeks. Yeah.
Yep. So it'll be, at least we know there's a start point for winter sports. So we do know that. And then we'll try to figure it out from there and see what, and just like everything else, when coaches coaches talked about playing games and just trying to get games in, and parents said, "Oh, we just want our kids to play," and then it was, "Well, we want to be able to see our kids play."
Yeah.
And coaches were like, "We just want to play." Then it was, "Well, we got to make districts and states." So that's going to be worse because the people who haven't played, the people who coaches and parents and kids who haven't been involved in a fall sport are in for an eye opener in the winter season when they're told, well, we can only have X amount of spectators and you're not going to be able to come in, and it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. And what is the indoor capacity right now? It's a percentage.
20%.
20%. Yes. Okay. So in a gym like Chambersburg, you could see, I'm not sure what the capacity is, and it probably includes both downstairs and upstairs when you're talking capacity.
It has to include players, coaches, officials, game help. Has to include all those people.
Yeah,
that's right off the top there.
So I think if you look at Greencastle, I think they're probably looking at about 80 spectators.
Yeah, because
I think I calculated there's 900 and some seats in there, and if you go 25%,
so that's 180, 185 people, 190.
And then you're looking at maybe when you take both basketball teams at, let's say, 25 each, that's 50. You throw in 3 officials, let's just say 3 officials, now you're at almost 60 with the clock, the announcer,
game management,
security. You're up to the you keep going up. If you're going to have cheerleaders, you got to count them.
Mid Penn Broadcasting.
Mid Penn Broadcasting counts as 3. So everything you do adds to your number. Then you're down to, if you give each parent 2 tickets home and away, there's 100 right there. So you're done. There's your 100. And you have 50 on the team, you're at 150, and then whatever game help you can have, and then you're done. So now I can tell you it's harder to work in a situation where the spectators are limited than when you just open the doors.
Oh, yes.
We're monitoring people checking in, and you have people signing in so you can contact trace, and you have all this, all these things that you're doing and worried about now, and it's just like, it's a hassle.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's probably even going to get worse with the lower capacities indoors and outdoors.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awful in the winter. And then it becomes, there's always someone at the gate that's a political thing that tells you, just yelling at you because you're a liberal, you don't let us in and all that. So you're like, whoa, come on.
You're part of the deep state.
Come on now, man. Come on. Seriously, come on. Just following the rules. We're just following rules.
Just doing what they tell us.
We're just following the rules. We can't break the rules. So those are the issues. And they continue. And then some parents will show up without a mask. And you tell them they have to wear a mask. And they call you names. And you're like, again. These are the rules. You want to come in and watch or not? You don't have to.
Yeah.
You can stand outside. You can do whatever you want, but
you can listen to Gary. You can stand out in the parking lot with your phone and watch the game there and listen to Gary.
Well, I'm guessing the Mid Penn Broadcasting numbers have been great this year.
They have been. They have been way up.
Yeah, I would guess.
They've been way up. And Saturday's game at Steel High was just a figure that I've never seen before. Over 10,000 hits. To the broadcast with Big Spring.
Probably a lot of Big Spring.
That's what I thought. When you're reaching,
they don't have internet.
Yeah, when you're reaching the greater Newville area, you got quite a market there, don't you? Yeah. But yes, they have been up all across the board. Yeah,
I would imagine.
Significantly.
Interestingly enough, though, I wonder when and if we get back to normal, if those numbers will stay in that ballpark, because I think people have enjoyed being able to stay home on a Friday and put the game on. They figured out, and most people I've talked to have figured out how to get it on their TV.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
They figured that out. So now they're like, I don't really have to leave here.
Yeah, right.
And there's nothing better than seeing Gary on a 65-inch monitor.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think you want to do
that. But people have figured out how to get it on their TV, and they.
Well, with these new TVs, Mike, it only takes
one button on your phone.
One button on your phone to do it. Yeah, and zap, you're on. You're up on the big screen TV, and look, we have Maxie's Brewhouse showing all the Shippensburg games.
Northern
on their big screen.
I know you're not doing Northern, but Northern had it at a drive. They picked Northern picked up somebody's broadcast at a drive-in theater.
That was a great idea.
Yeah.
I had heard that. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And I'm surprised that maybe they are, that more places are doing like Maxie's is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, and they got a big screen outside and inside. So, yeah, it's all sorts of things. It's become, nobody knew anything about live stream or much, and now every school what's involved in it. Yeah. And with the reduced capacities, yes, that's the answer. Yeah,
you're right about that.
I'm actually getting excited for basketball season now.
Oh yes,
still in the games.
Yeah, it's a lot more. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a lot more fun when you know there's at least 4 people listening.
Yeah, right. Maybe 5.
Right. But gone are the days of 45 people tuning in on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, right. Going are the day, and they've been going a long time.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, those days are over. When there was only 45 people on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be quite a few tuning in India.
Yeah, it could be 1,000. And then that's so. A lot of basketball games do run, very high in the wintertime. So
yeah, people don't want to come out if the weather's bad or whatnot.
And
so now you're going to have to. People are going to start making you pay because you're cutting into the attendance numbers.
Oh boy, that that could put an end to it. Yeah.
Right.
That could put an end to it.
Cutting into those attendance numbers. They don't want any parts of that.
Yeah. We're not sure if that's going to happen or not, though.
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone has had great success with their, some schools bought that thing from the NHFS or the other company that puts the camera in the gym.
Yes, there's been a few, yeah.
I don't know that anyone has had great success, and I don't know they're all thrilled with it. And I know they paid a pretty penny for it.
Yes, it was. It was a very expensive proposition. Plus, the schools get percentage-wise very little money back from it, but I have not seen any figures of subscribers that would tell you the story. I've not been privy to any numbers whatsoever. So, but have you heard some of them aren't thrilled with it? And I think most of these, Mike, were 5-year contracts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I think they were so far behind in getting them all in. Some people didn't even have them for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yes, I think Central Dolphin just had their first football game last week. When they played CDS.
Have you gotten any feedback from Chambersburg since you're only doing audio there?
I have not had a whole lot. We have not had a whole lot of feedback. The early feedback, it was announced, and it was made pretty clear, and it was announced, but there was confusion in the beginning, and that's where we got the most feedback. Was they thought that they were going to have to sign into 2 different places, our broadcast and the video, until they made it clear, until we were able to make it clear it was going to be simulcast. It's all going to be at the same place. Okay. If you're watching it, it's there. Yeah.
All right.
And I know Chambersburg, in the Commonwealth, Chambersburg, Central Dolphin, CD East have it, and Altoona just came on with it too.
Right.
They just came on with it here a week or so ago. And Redland and Cedar Cliff actually had it last year, which I wasn't even aware of, at least part of the year. Some of the schools are using a pay per view thing, like game by game. I did see that. A lot of them are out on YouTube, which is free. And let's just say the vast majority is still a free broadcast.
Right.
Yeah, the greater majority. I'm not aware of any Colonial Division schools or anybody other than Commonwealth that's on the NFHS system, Mike.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we can't afford it.
Well, yeah.
Colonial Division can't afford that.
Yeah.
Who's got $10,000 just sitting in their account?
Where are these small market schools, Gary?
Yeah, right.
We're not the New York Yankees of high school athletics.
Who do you think the New York Yankees of high school athletics is?
Cumberland Valley.
Cumberland Valley, yeah. Yeah, well, and speaking of which, it's just such a shock to see how far their football program has fallen. In the beginning, I thought it was like 1 year. They just had a little bit of down year, but it's spiraling downward.
Yeah.
Unless I'm not seeing something, but this looked nothing like any Cumberland Valley team that you have ever seen here last week.
Well, we all know it goes quickly and it's hard to get it back.
Yes, we can ask Chambersburg that question. It took years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, decades. It does. But yeah, why is it? Once it goes down, it's hard to get back.
It's hard to get it. I don't know what the answer is. It's a culture.
Yeah.
It's trying to change the culture. It takes so long.
Yeah, it's hard to get back, and it's much easier to go down than it is to go up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. And you're listening to Chalk Talk on 93.7 FM, WRGG LP, Greencastle. We've got a big football game tomorrow night in Greencastle, by the way. Shippensburg and Greencastle. And I think maybe you guys will agree or not that it has a real chance of being a close game this year.
I got 28-7. That's my prediction.
What? Ship 28-7?
Yeah.
Ship 28-7? John?
I think it may be a little closer than that.
I like that.
I think Shippensburg is the better team.
I agree with that.
But I think Greencastle has the ability to keep it close. I mean, look what Greencastle's done this year. They kept it close against some other pretty good schools like Northern York. The Mechanicsburg game got away early and ended up being pretty ugly. But they beat Susquehanna Township. They were close. They only lost by one score to Wayne. Well, actually, if you look at all Greencastle's losses, with the exception of Mechanicsburg, were one-score losses.
They were all one score.
So, maybe 21-7, 28-14. I think it'll be a one or two score game. I think Shippensburg will win, but I think it'll be a competitive game, and I think it'll be a one or two score game.
I'm looking for it to be even, closer, maybe one score, but within a touchdown. So.
Yeah, I mean,
just from the fact Greencastle is a much improved team.
Oh, absolutely,
much improved. I agree wholeheartedly. Much improved.
The past 2-3 years, this was a game where it was kind of like, maybe if Greencastle can keep it close, we'll see. But I mean, like I said, like I said, I do think Shippensburg is a better team. But it's one of these games where if Greencastle does win, you're not going to be surprised. You're not going to be shocked. At least you might be a little surprised, but you're not going to be shocked. If Greencastle would have beat Shippensburg last year, you'd have been shocked.
Shocked and stunned.
Yeah. But this year, I'll be like, oh, okay, I really didn't see that coming, but I'm not overly surprised by it.
Yeah.
I think it'll all come down to whether or not Ship has an answer for Adam Root. If they can get him bottled up a little bit, I think they'll be okay. But if they can't bottle him up, they're going to be in trouble. They've struggled all year to stop the run. But they did a pretty nice job at East Pennsboro. So they came out in a little bit of a different look and did a pretty good job at East Penn shutting down the run and keeping them and they still had a ton of yards, don't get me wrong, but that's all they do is run the ball. They have three guys that run the ball like crazy. So they were able to kind of bottle that up, and they played good defense in that game. So I'm starting this, as I've, just like you guys, you get to watch the Greencastle, or you don't get to see much, John, because you're always out, but I've watched the Ship team evolve, as from week to week, going through it, and they've gotten better. I think the schedule didn't help them. Starting off with Waynesboro being always excited to play Shippensburg.
Right.
Those games the last 4 years have been crazy, exciting games.
And no exception. And then the controversy at the end to boot.
Right. So I think that game, I think if they played that game next week, it would be a different outcome. The Northern game, they just couldn't stop Heisey. He kind of took over the game. I'm not sure that Heisey isn't banged up after the Ship game, and I only say it because I haven't seen – he hasn't run the ball much since that week. And that ended up being a great football game. Mechanicsburg, same thing. Like, we play them 20 more times, lose all 20. I mean, they're the best team in the division, no doubt about it. So I do think that Ship has gotten better each week. I think the West Perry game wasn't much of a game. East Pennsboro, at times it was a game. East Penn kind of hung around for a while. So I don't know. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see. I think if Greencastle comes up and they can stop Isaiah Hauser and slow down the Ship running game, which isn't great, but if they can slow that down, then Ship's going to be in some trouble. Ship will be in trouble in that game, but I look for them to get some opportunities. They have pretty good kids in the defensive backfield. Adam Hauser at corner. They got this Tucker Chamberlain kid who's a sophomore at safety who's going to be really good. He's going to be a special kid. So I think, if the ball's in the air in the direction of those two, there's a chance they come down with it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, as I've said, I think it's the first time in a while that you're going into it thinking this is going to be a lot of fun Friday night.
Right. And Greencastle hasn't beaten Shippensburg in 10 years?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
So, this is probably the first time in 6 or 7 they've had a legitimate shot going into the game where they could win it. So it should be a great game.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun Friday night. The weather should be decent, be cold, but it should be decent.
The rain's going to be gone by tomorrow night.
So it should be a fun Friday night in Greencastle. Mid Penn Broadcasting. I'm told that Greg's there.
Yeah, Greg.
He's doing the game, so that's exciting.
Greg and Rick
and if I get cold, I'm going with them.
Yeah, you can always go up with them and join them on the broadcast, Mike.
You can stand next to them and laugh.
Yeah.
It should. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yep, it's shaping up as one of the better games you would expect to be played in a few years. I don't know if you were as shocked as I was or a lot of people at the way Ship started this year.
Yeah. I laughed because the first week, when the first Friday night was over, Ship had gotten beat by Waynesboro and Greencastle beat Susquehanna Township, and I thought, the planets are not aligned. Because I didn't. There's no way I picked either one of these games to go this way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, there goes my predictions for the year. It's all over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
But then again, the way this year has gone, are you really surprised by that?
It's been
such a mixed up, backwards, crazy year.
Are you kidding?
Oh, I could not believe the Greencastle Susquehanna Township game. And I guess I overrated Susquehanna Township a little bit.
We all did.
Because they were the team to pick to win the division. But there's one person who saw it coming, and if you'll go back and watch the pregame show in the broadcast, that was Vern McCauley. He would, he predicted a Greencastle win during.
Always predicts a Greencastle.
But
during the pregame show, Greg was even trying to calm him down. He was so excited.
Well, I went back and watched because, Friday night that Waynesboro game ended kind of early.
Yeah.
So during halftime of the Ship Waynesboro game, I flipped on Mid Penn Broadcasting. I was watching the Greencastle game, and I'm looking at it, and Greencastle's up, and I'm like, oh my God. So I watched it all through halftime. Then when the Waynesboro game it ended quickly because both teams were running the ball and the game went fast. So I then went back to the Greencastle game, and it was still in the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, by the time I got home, I got to see the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm going to watch this. So I continue watching it, and honestly, here was my reaction. My God, Township is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that Greencastle wasn't good because they were. But when I watched it on the film, Greencastle on defense, when the ball was snapped, their defensive line was in the backfield before any Township guy got out of his stance.
Yeah.
And that right there, you're like, well, they're not even firing off the ball.
Yeah.
They're not even they're not excited to play.
And I was reading some things where the Township may not have been in the best of shape and may not have been ready. Yeah.
I don't know about that. They cheated all summer. They got caught with the 7-on-7s in Steel High. All kinds of stuff. So I don't know. I get that, but they couldn't. They weren't even getting out of their stance, and Greencastle kids were running right by them. And I thought, wow, wow.
The one thing it did convince me, and that just watching that first game, I went back and watched it too. But after watching that, I was convinced that Greencastle's a much better team, regardless of what happened from the rest of the season. You could just tell that it was different.
I think we all expected Greencastle to be a much better team.
Yeah.
I mean, this was, a team that 15 or 16 starters were back. All the skill players from last year were back.
Yeah.
That started. But, and, I think a lot of people expected Greencastle to be, and they've proved it. I mean, they're 1-4, but like we said, 3 of those losses are by 7 points. So, and when you lose when you're losing games or winning games by 7 points, that's literally one bounce of the ball, one missed assignment, over 48 minutes of high school football, one little mistake here or there is the difference between winning or losing. When you're losing games 40-0, there's really nothing you can do. You're just not very good. Yeah. But, when you're losing 27-20 or 21-14, you're literally one play away from winning that game.
You're one play away, and it's showing you're getting much better, too.
Much better.
Improving.
A couple of breaks, and Greencastle's easily 3-2.
Exactly. They could very well be. Yeah. Yeah, they could be 3-2 without any question. And Mechanicsburg, as you said, is the class of that division, far and away.
Not
but
even close.
It's a different-looking Colonial division this year.
Yeah.
East Pennsboro, who's respectable, and Susquehanna Township, who was supposed to be good, and what did we lose? Big Spring out and replaced them with those three.
County.
And Mifflin County, yes.
How about this, Gary? I'll give you some breaking news.
Okay.
Some breaking news. You may already know, but breaking news is that Gettysburg has put an exploratory committee together to come back to the Mid Penn.
I was going to ask you that tonight. I found out Ed Gottwal's mentioned it. And I think that's great news, Mike.
I do, too. They should have never left in the first place. But I think if they were to come back, and let's just talk football because it's fall. But if they were to come back and come to the Colonial Division, either Keystone or Colonial, doesn't matter. But if they were to come to the Colonial the way it is now, that's a great football division.
Well, it is.
And that you have, and I'm not saying Big Spring, not saying anything negative about Big Spring, but now that you have Township in it, Mechanicsburg in it, Gettysburg, Ship, Northern. You put Greencastle in there, Waynesboro. That's a strong football division. That's a good football division.
So what do you think the chances are of them actually coming back to the Mid Penn, Mike?
It's going to be up to their, to their school board and their coaches and what they want to do. I think their coaches 100% want to come back. I think their school board 100% wants them to come back. It'll just be when the Mid Penn takes that vote. It won't be this fall coming up.
It would be the new cycle, right?
New cycle in the second.
Years. Not next year, but the year after.
Yeah, it'll be, what was that, 21,
22.
22, 23 years?
Whatever. Not next year, but the following
season. Yeah, so it'll be 22, 23 fall if they come back. I think, I'm confident the Mid Penn Conference will vote them back in only because
I would hope
it makes the Mid Penn stronger, and also, we voted in worse people for a second or third time.
Yes. You voted in worse. You want to name names?
Right.
Altoona's back. Yeah.
Right. Altoona's back. And So some of those things have been interesting.
And if you remember us talking, Mike, when they left the Mid Penn, they said they wanted to cut down on travel time and all that. And I don't know if they never knew. I don't know if they ever knew before, but traveling from Gettysburg to York on a Friday night is not exactly a fun trip.
No, and they thought they were going to be in the division where they wanted to be with everyone close to them, and they weren't.
No, and I heard they've been upset since then.
They're in a bad division, and it's the York League does it classification only. So you have to be in the division of your classification. So they're playing against teams that they're driving out to Kennerdale and they're driving other places, and not every team in York has the sub-varsity level teams. Like they're missing a lot of middle school games or a lot of JV games or freshman games because some of those schools don't have them, and so they're missing out on that. And I tell their people all the time, it's when you leave the Mid Penn, it's like you dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So no one knows or cares. Do you still have sports in Gettysburg? That's
right.
Like, no one knows or cares.
Well, and it almost felt to me like they never left because we were over at Gettysburg. Chambersburg always plays in the tournament over there. And then Greencastle has played them several times. But other than that, it's, but the Mid Penn's a better fit for them.
Much better
there's no question. Yeah.
Whether they're in the Colonial Division or the Keystone, if they're in the Keystone, they're going to play, Lower Dauphin, Redlands, Cedar Cliff, the schools that are all 35, 40-minute drive up 15. And 15, and I was there. I coached there for years. Driving up 15 is a much better trip than trying. I'll tell you, we played in the Mid Penn Conference when I coached there. In our opening weeks, we played Spring Grove, sometimes Susquehannock. You can't get to those places. It doesn't matter where.
Yeah.
You just can't get there.
It is. It's a terrible ride on 30.
New Oxford wasn't bad. That's the next door neighbor.
That's your next door neighbor. I know.
Those were the York County schools you tried to play, and I mean, you couldn't get the Spring Grove. You can't get the Susquehannock. That's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not an easy trip. None of them. Yeah. Now, I will say this: the one thing, if you're Gettysburg, but you only have to do it one time every other year, is the trip to West Perry would be tough.
Yes, it would be. I made my first trip to West Perry Friday.
Your first ever?
Or Saturday. I'd never been there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But and from Harrisburg, it was not bad. I was surprised. It was like within about 40 minutes.
My recommendation, I think, if this comes to fruition, my recommendation would be that maybe West Perry look to go to the Capital Division.
And that would probably be a possibility.
Put them closer to the other schools.
It puts them closer and more competitive, I think. And not that they can't be competitive, but West Perry typically is competitive every 10 years.
Right. They
in that division.
Little spurt last year and the year before.
Right. And then they go about 10 years, and then they get knocked around. They're back at it. So I do think that they would probably be better fit in that division for them. But that doesn't mean that they want to. But I'm just saying, I think that eliminates that long trip. And if Gettysburg replaces West Perry, then it's a really good league.
Yeah, if you look at that West Perry team, and like I said, they had that nice little run of 2 or 3 years. But prior to that, they had lost like 29 in a row, I think it was. Some insane amount of games they had lost in a row. Yeah. Then they got the Quaker, Terrence Quaker, and some other kids.
Yep.
That, kind of brought them back to above average. A pretty good team. But before that, it was not good.
Yeah, so my picks aren't good right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Your picks are way off, right?
I don't know if I'm way off, but I'm off.
Yeah. I think we all are.
I'm on a ship completely.
Yeah,
we all did. Yeah,
I think we all.
I thought. Well, what'd I say? I thought they'd lose 2.
Yeah, we have them up here.
I have 1 or 2. I don't know if we do. Unless you wrote them down.
Hopefully, Gary lost them.
I thought they'd lose 1, maybe 2. So I'm not too far off because they lost 3. If they win the next 2, they'll be 4-3, and that wasn't awful. Greencastle, I just didn't expect them to beat Township.
No, that was. I think that one sent shockwaves across the Mid Penn when you looked at that score. Yeah,
I think I had Greencastle with 2 wins, and I'm not going to lie, I did not have Susquehanna Township as being 1 or 2.
Right. Yeah.
I again, I know at the beginning of the season, I think East Pennsboro has been better than people expected. And I thought Greencastle beat West Perry, and I thought they could maybe sneak one over Waynesboro or maybe East Pennsboro to get to the second win. But they still got a shot. They have East Penn next weekend. And, again, even tomorrow, Shippensburg, it's certainly a game they can win.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of those games they can win. I can tell you the one thing that East Penn couldn't do was cover. So they're not going to be able to cover Adam. Right. They couldn't cover Isaiah. They're not going to cover Adam. Right. And if they can stop the run game, they'll be fine. And East Penn, interestingly enough, during the broadcast, as East Penn was making a comeback toward the end of the game, and they were down 3, and they had a field goal kicker that can kick from probably 50 yards out. They were down 3, and they were driving. There was like under 2 minutes to go, and I said to Andy on the broadcast, they're going to panic. There's plenty of time. They had 2 timeouts. They had plenty of time. And we couldn't stop their run. Like, they would rattle off a 4-yard run, a 6-yard run, maybe a -1. The next one be 25. Like they were rattling off some big runs. I'm like, these guys are going to panic. They're going to panic. And so sure enough, like second down, they come out and throw a halfback pass, gets picked off, and Ship holds on and wins the game.
Yeah.
So which is kind of funny. So on Monday, Coach Faust came into my office and he said, hey, he goes, that coach, and he said, I was talking to the coach at East Penn after the game. He's new this year, young guy. And he said, he told me, he's like, you know what? He goes, I just, I blew it. He said, in that situation, I just panicked. He goes, because I've never, he goes, it hasn't been many times in a varsity game where I've been in this situation. And he said, I need to learn from this and move forward. And I'm like, yeah, you can just see they going into the game, they had only thrown for 87 yards all year.
Yeah.
And in a crucial point in the game, they threw the ball like 4 times. 3 of them were interceptions.
Yeah. Not only did they try to throw it, they tried to trick play.
They tried to throw it with a guy who never throws it. You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. No. My question, if you're running the football, you're going to for the tie of the football game, why would you do something else? I mean, if you're running off the yardage you said, why in the world would you do that?
Exactly. Why?
And especially a trick play in that situation.
Yeah, why? You didn't
What's
have
the
to.
purpose?
Plenty of time. There's plenty of time on the clock. They only needed like 35 yards, and he would have been at chip shot field goal range.
Yeah.
And he probably would have made it. And so you're like, I don't know, man. Just keep doing what you're doing and milk the clock a little bit and work it down and see if you can't stick one in at the end.
See, you called that one. He did panic. You saw it.
You could tell. You could tell it was coming. They did it a couple times earlier in the game. And you're just like, these guys are going to panic. They think there's a lot less time on the clock than what there is.
Yeah.
You know, when you have under 2 minutes and 2 timeouts, you have plus this clock stops every time you
get make a
first down. And they were running. And again, when they got loose, they were getting 20-yard gains. So it wasn't like it was only a 3-yard. It was, they got loose. It was 20, 15, that kind of thing. So you're like, oh man, they'll just panic and do something here. And they did. And thank heavens.
Yeah. It got you out with a win in regulation, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's, and I see some of that a few years ago in the Carlisle-Chambersburg game. It's like Carlisle gifted Chambersburg on a silver platter. All they needed to do was run the clock out. They're throwing the football, throwing it, and then they throw an interception at the end and lose the game. There was absolutely no reason to even be, throwing the football. You wonder what are you thinking in these situations? Yeah. It's like, do you want to get it all at once? So well, in the Carlisle situation, they thought they were going to put the game away, and it backfired. And in this, East Penn probably just, they wanted to get it and get it now. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, especially the week before. They dominated Waynesboro in the second half.
They did.
They took it to. They were down 2 scores at halftime and blew Waynesboro out in that game.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Kagan, and he was, telling me, he says, man, I told him, I said, look, this is a new colonial division. It's not, you're not playing a lot of the teams you used to. And
well, the guy in the booth kept telling me that, John.
Who's that?
The announcer. Because
really?
we have a split with a piece of plexiglass, and we were doing the game here, and he was over here. And at halftime, we were up, Ship was up, and he goes, well, Waynesboro was up last week, and we came back, and I was like, all right, I care.
Yeah, right.
I'm just broadcasting the game, buddy.
Yeah, right.
I get paid the same no matter what happens tonight.
Yeah, right.
No matter what happens. I know I'm more excited when Ship does good things. I get that, but it all pays the same.
Every other Friday, there's money in my account, and I'm happy.
Yeah. I'm not losing. I'm not going home. I'm not losing sleep. I'm good. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I'm tickled. And he just kept hammering it home. And then every time they did something, he'd say, I told you, man, last week, Waynesboro had us beat. We came back and throttled them the second half. I was like, okay. Okay.
It's all good.
Yeah, whatever.
Did you remind him after the game?
No. They, we talked for a little bit. They were a little disgruntled at the end.
Yeah.
Which I was okay with because I told Andy when we got there, years ago, I coached in a game there, and we were by far the better team. Went into East Pennsboro. Second offensive series of the game, we got our quarterback knocked out with a concussion. So we had to play with our second teamer who wasn't very good. Ended up going to triple overtime, and Mickey Schuler Jr. caught the touchdown pass in triple overtime to beat us. So I don't have great memories at East Penn. I don't love it there.
Yeah, right.
So if this guy was talking, I was just like, oh, man.
Bring back memories.
Bring back memories. They're just jawing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, my God, I wanted to say, you haven't been relevant for years, buddy. Like, come on.
Right.
I let it go.
You're a bigger man.
I was. I'm not today, but I was then. I won't talk about their relevancy.
Yeah.
They weren't relevant then either.
Yeah. But they still beat you.
They did. Mickey Schuler, like everyone knew it, it's that thing we're like, okay, they're going to throw it to Schuler here. It didn't matter.
He still caught it and scored.
Yeah, he was a Division I athlete.
Yeah.
They're hard, right?
Yeah, they're hard to cover.
Yeah.
He was like 6'4", tight end, big, strong kid. Like, all right, we did what we could.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one I wanted to get back. I'd love to go back and do over again, right? That's a good do-over game.
That one play.
Yeah, the whole game.
Yeah. Is that something like when the extra point was the story you told?
Mechanicsburg, yeah. That was horrible.
Yeah.
You had to bring it up too, Gary.
Horrible.
Good job.
Yeah.
Memories.
Yeah. Well, while
the worst was the North-South game in North High when I was coaching at North High when they kicked they were kicking a field goal to tie the game. And there was under a minute to go in the game. They scored a touchdown. They were kicking the extra point to tie it. And they snapped the ball. The snap's bad. The holder's running around the football, and he turns around and he just throws a dart to the goalpost. And number 80 jumps up and catches it at the goalpost. They give him a 2-point conversion. So now they're up 1, and it's like, now we're under 30 seconds or some crazy, like not enough time really to do anything. And we're going crazy on the sideline. No one's listening and paying attention. Number 80 was the long snapper. And he's the guy who caught it. But you can't be the long
snapper and catch the foot. Right,
and
yeah.
Ineligible by position.
Yeah, he's ineligible, but no one caught it, and we're yelling and
they just
screaming.
saw the number 80 and
they
just
saw
assumed
number
he was
80.
eligible.
Yes.
And they never changed it?
No, it was done. It was a 2-point conversion. They were off the field, and they weren't going to tell him it was 80 was a snapper.
Yeah.
It was done. So
that is why today what we do, and the two officials under the goalpost tell each other who their eligible numbers are. So you know who the eligibles are
That's
every
great.
kick.
That's
what
Eric would like to know what official was told the other one to watch the quarterback put his knee on the ground.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Did you go back and watch the end of that game?
I didn't because I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I was live. I was there live.
Yeah, you were there live.
I was on the sideline.
If you didn't see it, you would have no question whatsoever if you watched. The camera work was excellent on that. And
I agree. I don't, it is what it is. I mean, and Eric and I have talked about it, and we had, he was a little crazy. I'm like, settle down. We had some plays in that game. We fumbled inside their 10-yard line where we score there. Some other things happen. It doesn't come down to the last series if we do the things we had to do. It magnifies that play because it comes down to that.
That's when it happened. Because of when it happened.
Because of when it happened,
right?
And what have you? And also it makes it worse when the white hat tells you that he put his knee down. He was down. He put his knee down. He was down.
No.
And then you're like, I'm not sure he did.
No.
I'm pretty sure he did it.
I don't think he knew what happened.
And
Smith had that ball before.
Then they went and conferenced, and then they came back and said, no, he put his knee down. And we were like,
too bad they didn't have video replay that night.
I'm sure he didn't.
It's not allowed by the PIAA anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm sure he didn't have his knee down. I'm sure he didn't.
Yeah, no, he did not. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. He did not have a knee down.
And I get that. And I honestly get that nobody was really, other than the ship sideline, nobody was really paying attention kind of thing.
Because they thought it was a knee.
He was just gonna take a knee. Well, he snapped, as soon as he snapped the ball, Anthony Smith crashed the line, and the ball flew up. So he was here, and it kind of flew up and went down, and it went on the ground and rolled, and the quarterback dove for it. And then when he dove, Isaiah Hauser came in from the corner position and grabbed it and laid on it. And everyone was standing, like a lot of people didn't even move. Like the lineman didn't move. Right. I didn't know. Isaiah Hauser was laying on the ground with the ball. And the quarterback dove for it, and Isaiah already had it. Like it was kind of like right there. And then they called everybody together, and he's like, no, he had his knee down. He put his knee down. Everyone was like, hey, he never even got the ball. And they go, he had his knee.
Yeah, he never had a chance to get the ball. There would have been no reason to put a knee down.
So it was crazy. And we ended up being crazy. And everyone was like, ooh, that probably, again, it also doesn't mean that you're going to score.
Well, that's the thing. Absolutely. Yeah, because you have not scored yet.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's 22-20. You get the ball where that was about the 35 or 40-yard line of Shippensburg. You still were going to have to go 60 yards.
Yeah. Or get into field goal range. Yeah.
Like, a lot of things still have to happen.
Yeah. But you would have liked the opportunity for those to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
You would have liked to have opportunity, and you're just like, wow. Like, I mean.
My thought was typical Waynesboro Shippensburg.
Yeah, that kind of stuff happens. I mean, yeah, the one year Ship won because Waynesboro just ran out of time.
Yeah.
They got the ball down to the 1 and the clock expired. And the 1 year they were up. They squibbed a kick. Cole Freeze picked it up for Shippensburg and ran 60-some yards for a touchdown for the win.
Yeah,
Every game has turned out the last 4 years has been crazy. And this one set up perfectly to be crazy. And then that finish, and then everyone was like, oh, man, it's not good. It's not good.
It's not, and there went the hopes of an undefeated season right there.
Right. It just ended. Everything just ended right there.
And the first Colonial Division loss in how many years?
Yeah.
Few years.
I told Eric, I said, and like every team, we're not the only team like this, but like every team, because of the limited summer participation in camp, when you look at the starting lineup at Shippensburg today, it doesn't look anything like it did at Waynesboro. But I said, Eric, as horrible as we were, we were a fumble inside their 10 from winning that game. Or recovering, you know what I mean?
Right.
As you said, we were 1 or 2 plays from winning that game, and we were horrible.
Yeah.
We couldn't tackle anybody. We couldn't do anything right. And you were a couple plays away from winning. You're not as bad as you think you are, but you need to make some changes.
Yeah, right.
You got to do some things. You got to shore up that defense or something because it was horrible.
Yes.
But
it was horrible there, and of course Mechanicsburg. But everybody's horrible with them, I think.
Yeah, that was just running into a buzzsaw there.
Yeah,
and then the Northern game, I thought they played a little better. But it's been a fun year though. I mean, getting out there, and it's it's hard for coaches because without people in the stands calling the plays, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, right.
It's hard on them,
They keep turning around looking for help.
And nothing is there.
Quit running it in the middle.
Right.
You need someone to tell you that.
Right. What do I do? Oh, no, there's no one up there.
No one to tell me what to do. So, we're getting through it. Friday, Saturday is the last days for soccer for the power rating. So we got through fall soccer.
Field
hockey's over.
Volleyball, at least for Greencastle, regular season ended in volleyball tonight, ended in field hockey. Soccer wraps up over the weekend.
So there's a lot of, we got through a lot of fall sports and we got through it somewhat, not too many games canceled, not too much going on.
I think it was remarkable.
Yeah, it went about as good as, it went a lot better than I thought.
Yes, likewise. Because we didn't know what to expect. In the beginning, it was like, you were afraid one COVID case would shut everything down, but it seemed to go. Of course you're going to have some,
right? And
you did. But look at the number of games that were played and the number it was affected. It's minuscule. Yeah. And it is, and it really is. And I really think there was a big determination. Once the PIAA stood up and said we're playing. That they were going to get through this, the last thing you wanted to do was cancel the season, halfway through, and but yes, they did get through, and they proved that you can get through it.
And this isn't the NBA where you can take the entire team, put them, take all the teams, put them in a hotel for 3 months, and play your schedule. People living their lives day to day and still playing sports, and everything went pretty well.
Yeah. Which is great,
it's been a positive as far as getting some people miss games along the way.
Right,
been a couple here and there. Field hockey, some field hockey games. There've been some games missed, but it hasn't been 6 games a week. It hasn't been 6 games on a Friday night. It hasn't been.
You're lucky, one here and there is basically what it's been. And for the most part, they get made up at some point.
Yeah, the vast majority of coaches I've talked to, they're smiling. They're just like, we're just happy to be here. We're just thrilled to be out here playing football.
Yeah, and
3 months ago, we didn't think we were going to be.
It certainly did not look like it. And that's why I thought, the number one goal has to be to get through this, get through the season, don't stop it. And they did.
Well, I can tell you, knock on wood, Ship can get through Friday night, and then next Friday with Township, we're put our tail between our legs and call it a year.
And I see my next question was going to be this. I've heard some scuttle that you play the little brown jug game. Is that true or false?
It's false.
It's false. You're done.
Greencastle's done too after next Friday. I talked to Vicky about that. Greencastle's done after next Friday.
And I think that's the case with a lot of schools.
I think Chambersburg is playing
the East Penn on the 13th.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. And, from what I read from what Jeremy said, I gathered that that's probably going to be their finale too.
Yeah. Well, winter sports starts on the 20th, which is the following Friday, and here's my thing, and even with all sports, but if you're not in district playoffs and you're not playing for a championship and all that stuff, then that's not being fair to those kids who play a winter sport to continue your season just to continue your season for no reason.
Yes,
give those kids a little bit of a break. Let them get ready for their winter season if there's going to be a winter season, and let them go on from there. There's no need to play. I know Big Spring ended up picking up, I think, Upper Dauphin maybe for the last game on the 13th, or somebody like Upper Dauphin. And Chambersburg has the East Penn. But we had decided weeks ago that if we were going to play anything on the 13th, it was going to be an LBJ game. Yeah. And if Big Spring wanted to, we would do it. They scheduled somebody else. So we were like, yeah, you know what? We're going to collect the stuff and call it a year and get out of here, hopefully with no COVID issues, and get out safely and let the kids get ready for winter season.
Thankful you got what you got.
Yeah.
And it's kind of anticlimactic to be playing regular season games after, teams that were eliminated from the playoffs can come back and play, right?
And it's cold.
Yeah, and it's cold,
I mean, let's not, seriously, when you get into the playoffs, it's cold. Yeah. And the clock changed this weekend. Yeah. So it's going to be dark at 5:30. Mm-hmm. You're going to get very little practice time. Yeah. And it's cold, it's freezing cold. And I can tell you from experience, when you go outside and it's freezing and the wind's blowing and it's a wet day, it's damp, it's cold, nobody's paying attention.
Especially practice,
Everyone's standing around thinking how cold they are. The kids are talking about how cold they are. No one's paying attention. The coaches are out there like, oh my God, get inside.
Right? The coaches are checking their watches.
Yeah, so for people who say, well, we're going to try to play the 20th, like, no, you're not. Yeah. I mean, I know Mechanicsburg is going to play Cumberland Valley, I think, for the Thanksgiving game.
Are they?
I did see that.
They're going to do that, which, again, I think is selfish only because there are kids that want to play a winter sport. And also, if you don't get a game, and I don't know what they did, but if you can't pick up games, you're going to be sitting from the 6th to the 28th. And you're going to practice for 3 weeks without a game to play. Thanksgiving. That just doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
And then if you can't have spectators, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or a limited number of spectators.
Yeah. I just wasn't a fan of it. And I'm like, we're not doing that.
Yeah. And you had no thoughts of having a Thanksgiving Day game.
Well, no thoughts on Thanksgiving Day for a couple of reasons. I told, when it first came out, everyone it first comes up, everyone's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, let's play Thanksgiving. And I said, I already lose Christmas because we have a silly Christmas basketball tournament. I'm not losing Thanksgiving too.
Yeah.
Especially when the Steelers play that night.
That's the only holiday I get, man. I'm not. I'm done with that.
Steelers play that evil team from wear those purple jerseys that night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do.
I think don't they play the Ravens on Thanksgiving?
I think you're right. I think they do. Yeah, in Pittsburgh. Yeah. And in Baltimore Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get the divisions decided. Well, maybe not necessarily decided, but see.
You have a better idea who's going to win it.
Who's going to,
You'll see who has the upper hand.
Yeah. We'll find out.
We know it's not going to be Cincinnati.
This weekend.
No. This weekend, Ravens Steelers.
Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Ravens Steelers.
Right, come on, we're gonna split. So who cares who wins this one?
Well, you're probably right. How many years has that happened? Right,
it's just gonna be a split.
Yeah, it's been that way ever since the beginning of.
No matter who wins Sunday, the other team will win on Thanksgiving night.
So,
So which one do you want to win? I mean, pick it now.
Pick it now.
Would you rather win this weekend or Thanksgiving?
Well, I'd rather win the upcoming game if I had to pick, yes.
I'd rather win Thanksgiving, make the day better.
Make the day better. I'd rather win both, to be honest.
Well, you're not going to. You got to come to. If you win both, that's like That's like everything's all aligned for something special.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Joe Flacco's going to come back and lead you to the Super Bowl.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's just not going to happen. You can't win both. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And not too often. Yeah.
No. Did we beat you last year with Duck?
Last year, the Ravens may have swept you.
I think they did.
Yeah, that was right.
One that was like either the last week or the next to last week, Don. And that was when RG3 quarterbacked the Ravens and just destroyed the Steelers.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was over then.
Yeah, it was already. Yeah.
Right. We got Ben. How many? It's amazing how many times Ben hasn't played in that game.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why. He don't like to play the Ravens.
No, he's hurt.
He's hurt,
Gary.
Well, now Hines Ward said one time it's Ben with his drama. Every time we play the Ravens, he's hurt.
Yeah, well, there's always Ben drama.
Yeah, right.
That's what makes him great.
Yeah, so Ben's not playing Sunday?
Well, he is going to play, but I think it gives you a better chance when he's playing.
But
he doesn't play in all of the, I mean, Charlie Batch beat you guys one time.
Oh, yeah. Charlie Batch, yeah.
Right.
That's not good.
Yeah. Did Cordell Stewart beat you once?
He beat you.
Well, he played for the Ravens, too.
I don't think he beat us when he was a Raven.
Yeah. I don't remember. It's been a while.
So.
Yeah.
I don't even remember him as a Raven.
Yes, he played like 1 year after the Steelers released him. He was a backup, but he ended up playing some that year.
Yeah, he went to Chicago.
I remember Chicago.
Then he was a Raven.
I didn't know he played for the Ravens. I don't remember the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a fun weekend, right?
Yeah.
Sunday at 1:00.
Sunday, up it is.
That'll make the rest of the day miserable or great.
It's however you want to look at it. Yeah.
Where's the game?
Baltimore.
Do you have tickets?
No. And they're actually, first week, they're starting to allow fans.
Okay.
But in a limited number, I think 7,000.
For season ticket holders.
Well, what happened with season ticket holders was they just went and refunded.
Okay.
But when they didn't know what the situation was, they said there's no equitable way to pick and choose who comes to these games. That if and when we are selling tickets, you will be given first opportunity, which they did. They sent an email out with a chance for you to buy, tickets.
Probably like a lottery because there probably should be more demand than there is supply.
Right, exactly. A lottery. I didn't even fill it out, And I think that's probably what a lot of teams are doing. This will be their first week allowing fans. Now, I think Pittsburgh and Philly have had some here
last 2 weeks.
I think 5,500 are allowed in Pittsburgh.
55, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small number.
Yeah, and when you're talking that many people in those big stadiums, it's almost like there's nobody there,
right.
Man. Yeah, it was like a Pirates game.
Exactly. Well, you wouldn't have 5,500 people for a Pirates
game.
Wow.
Yeah.
More like 2,500.
Unless
it's fireworks night, then they'll pack the place.
I'm excited about it. I mean, I was going to go to. I'll be in Savannah, Georgia for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh.
Is your wife running a race or just?
What's that?
Is your wife running down there? Or?
No, Matthew lives down there now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm going down on Saturday before Thanksgiving, and the Steelers play Jacksonville on Sunday in Jacksonville. So all along, before COVID hit, my plan was to go to the Jacksonville game and, hang out, watch Steelers in Jacksonville, and then do my thing in Savannah for Thanksgiving and all that stuff. And then COVID hit, and then I found out, they're having some fans down there and all that. So here's the deal. I scrapped it because they are selling tickets on StubHub, but they're not outrageously priced. But, up in the top of the stadium is $100 a piece or $110
They're
a piece.
actually having people on top. Most of the stadiums just have lower level for sale.
Yeah, they are having them up on top. So, Florida's different.
Yes, it is.
Florida's different. So, I decided that, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm going. So I haven't made up my mind yet on whether or not I want to go to the game. But I will be in Savannah for Thanksgiving.
Savannah, Georgia. Been there a few times.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Great town.
I'm hoping to have COVID fun. Just hanging out in the nice weather.
Yeah. Yep, and it should
definitely be warmer than
yeah.
Castle.
Yeah, it certainly will be.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good bet.
The golf club.
And Jacksonville's like around the corner from Savannah,
Right.
so yeah.
Right, that's why I was going to plan to go to the
It's
game.
the game, and well, you could decide at the last minute by punching your phone a couple of times you can be there. So yeah.
That's true, but the problem is if it was just me, I'd probably go. But there's going to be like 4 or 5 of us, and that gets expensive.
Yeah.
I think you sit in the parking lot while you go in.
Right. That starts to get a little bit expensive. So I might just go. I have a good friend of mine that used to live in Greencastle, lives in Jacksonville. So maybe on Sunday we'll just go to his house.
Yeah.
Watch a game there and hoot and holler like good old Steeler fans.
Yeah.
It's an idea.
So we can be in Jacksonville, Florida for the game.
Before the game,
We
but
just won't be at the game.
You won't be at the game. Yes.
Right. And then there's a possibility I'll be there because Eric Faust, the coach at Shippensburg, is really good friends with Ben McAdoo, who used to be the head coach of Giants, who's now the quarterback coach in Jacksonville. So there's always a possibility that Eric comes into school and says, hey, I talked to Ben, and he has tickets for you. And I'm like, all right, then I'm going to go.
And then you're going to
and
go.
I'll wear my Jacksonville shirt.
Yeah, right. You got to wear your Jackson.
Right,
yeah, you could do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could listen.
That would be disrespectful if a member of the coaching staff of a team got you into the stadium
Yeah.
and you wore the other team's jersey.
And let me tell you, even with the Steeler jersey in Jacksonville, nobody's going to hassle you to start with. It's not like it is going to Baltimore.
It's funny because another kid that I coach at Gettysburg, he works. He's a personal trainer down there, and he works for the owner's wife, the Jaguars. He does some personal training with her.
Okay.
But he's not going to be around that week. He's gone as well. But he said to me, he goes, I think they're going to have limited seating. And I go, don't they always have limited seating?
Yeah, that's why they put the tarp on the most of the upper deck.
Isn't it always limited seating in Jacksonville? Like, come on, man. You
Even
kidding
if
me?
it's 20% capacity, 18 of that percent will be Steeler fans.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, no, I wasn't worried about that. But I said, could you wear a Jacksonville T-shirt and go? Absolutely, and still quietly root for my team. I do it all the time. I work at Ship. My kid plays at Greencastle.
Yeah,
I do it constantly.
yeah, that's what you do. Yeah,
I wear the opposing colors all the time.
Yeah, it's also it's nothing different then, right? Yeah,
I got to do
a lot of practice at it.
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
Yeah,
It's all right.
Oh,
I can be bought.
You could be bought, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could be bought.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for a ticket you'll put on the opposing team.
Why
now,
not?
would you do that in Baltimore and put on a Ravens jersey, Mike?
Yeah.
You would? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that might be out of self-preservation.
But I want to be on the Steelers sideline for warm-ups.
You do?
Yeah.
You want
I'll still I'll wear whatever you want me to wear to be over there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because underneath I got my, my black and gold on under it.
You got, yeah.
He's got his LC Greenwood jersey.
Yeah. Close to my heart.
Close to, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody can wear a purple outer garment.
Yeah. But like you're saying, you can be bought. So
Yeah, absolutely. I can be bought.
You can be, yeah.
Absolutely can be bought.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So you got Chambersburg this week?
Chambersburg is off this week, Mike.
Oh, that's right. Where are you going?
I'll be at Waynesboro.
Who they have?
Northern.
Oh, that'd be fun.
The Polar Bears. Yeah, it should be a good game.
That should be fun.
Yeah, should be, yeah.
Game.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
What's the best game you've seen this year?
Probably Waynesboro, Shippensburg. Greencastle, Waynesboro was good. I've done a lot of Waynesboro games this year for some reason. I have no idea why. But yeah, those two games are probably the two best. I was about Boiling Springs once. Supposed to be in Altoona last week, but that game got canceled because they didn't play Carlisle. They ended up playing in the District 6 championship game. So
With State College.
Yeah.
And defeated State College.
Yeah.
Which was a total shock.
So that was fun sitting home last Friday night for the first time in Lord knows how long. 7-8 years.
7, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, yeah, that was different. It was strange. It was the District 6 championship game. State College was a home team in Altoona, I think, is the way it worked out.
Well, it certainly brought to light in the Mid Penn Conference. What brought to light was that District 6 and District 4 have already started their playoffs, which really messed up our schedules.
Yes.
And I think moving forward, those are some things that really need to be discussed as we take in teams from outside District 3 is, what are the ramifications of this? Because it does create problems.
Yes, it does. And it did. I mean, that created the whole Harrisburg situation there.
Right.
It is. Now, did District 6, from what I read, they weren't originally scheduled to play until this week, but moved it up a week?
Yeah.
Well, sure, it's going to create...
And Altoona wrote them a strongly worded letter saying, like, come on, we have plenty of time to get this game in. Let us finish our regular season. We have time.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And they didn't do anything with it. And the same with District 4 with Line Mountain. Line Mountain had issues. And they kept trying to move up the game with JB. And JB didn't want to move up and play on a Tuesday and then a Friday and all that. But then they ended up losing the Line Mountain game altogether because Line Mountain's in the District 4 playoffs.
Yeah, and just a question, I don't even know, where is Line Mountain?
I have no idea.
It's
north.
It's north?
It's north of us.
Yeah, how far north?
I don't know. I know Gary, District 4 is like Susquehanna, is like Shamokin, Sealands Grove, Sunbury.
It's out by Sealands Grove.
Yeah,
it's north.
That is a ways up there. Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. I keep seeing Line Mountain, but I
think it's up toward Williamsport.
Yeah, I have no idea. I had no idea where.
Me either. I never want to go there.
You never want to go. Maybe sometime you'll have to.
Just get on 15 and start going north. You'll get there.
You'll get to Line Mountain.
Somewhere in the area.
Somewhere.
Put your GPS on.
Just take me to Line Mountain. Yeah, right. Yeah, take me to Line Mountain.
No sense of wasting battery until you get to Susquehanna.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at least a half an hour north of Harrisburg.
Yeah, right.
Then put on your GPS.
And then it's on the radar screen, right? Yeah. Line Mountain comes on the radar. So, and I do want to remind everyone, we are going to be live streaming the Greencastle girls soccer games at Greencastle this year.
District playoffs.
Awesome.
Awesome. We'll be we're going to live stream all games at Greencastle. So whether that's 1, 2, or 3.
With real live play-by-play.
With live play-by-play. With John Freeman.
You're good at that.
John Freeman. Greg's going to be with you for the first game.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Greg will be there for the first game with you. And, and that comes up on
next Wednesday.
Wednesday night. Yeah,
Are you
7
getting
o'clock.
any Steel High playoff games?
Well, they're at DeLone. I would have had one if that game was switched. And Steel High hosted because they had already told them, District 3. So if they come back and play at Steel High, I might. As long as it's districts, well, that's as the district championship here. Have you seen the PIAA broadcast rights? I mean, not District 3,
right.
Because some of those are out altogether. And other ones are, severely reduced. But the PIAA is off the charts. And they even said that they needed revenue to make up, and they were hitting broadcast rights and sponsors very hard. And they did. A first-round playoff game in football is like $6,000.
So your price is so high that no one does it.
It's so high that nobody would ever be able to do it.
Well, it doesn't make sense, and I get they want to make revenue, but if you can't get people into the stadiums, why wouldn't you provide the broadcast at a reduced rate?
You
so
would.
People could broadcast and you could see your teams.
And even audio's off.
This thing's a farce.
It is.
It's the whole district playoffs, and I'm so frustrated with that. It should have never happened.
Yeah. Well, it's like saying, boy, the radio station, we could use some revenue, so let's charge our advertisers $10,000 a month to play 20 commercials.
Yes. And that's exactly what the PIAA did. Yeah. And then they came out and tweeted it, that they were hitting broadcasters hard. Yeah. No, it does not make any sense whatsoever. And even for audio, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If, for football, and at least at District 3, has eliminated a lot of their fees for the districts. And the ones that aren't eliminated are reduced substantially. So, that was a plus right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And that encourages more people to do it. You lower the price, and more people will be willing to do it.
Yeah, sure.
You can't get in.
It is, and you can't get in. You've got reduced capacities, and and not everyone is going to get into the game naturally. And in playoff games, if a team is hosting, you're going to have a big crowd, especially if you have a good opponent on the other side too. And but yeah, that didn't make sense to me at all. But then I thought, well, that's just typical, basically typical, yes. But
lack of thinking.
A lack of thinking, but I don't necessarily think I would go right out and say this is what we did. There's better way. Say nothing. I would, but they made a big deal out of doing it.
It's a shame that it's all about revenue.
It is.
It's a shame, and I mean they're not hiding it at all.
No.
And that's the only reason we're having districts and states is for revenue that really there isn't any revenue.
I was going to say, where's the revenue coming from?
But that's the only reason they're having it.
Yeah. Without fans, what's your other revenue source?
Yeah.
I mean, for District 3, but then they did away with the broadcast rights, but they're minuscule compared to, what you want to make in a district playoff game. So, yep. Hey, it looks like we're out of time here.
That's sad.
It is. Unless you want to go longer, we can hang around. So
we don't have anybody coming in after us, do we?
No, we don't. So.
Ghost PIT's not in?
And the Ghost, that's every other Thursday.
Okay. I do like those guys.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us here tonight. And when are we having word on the street, Mike?
Well, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I was looking at my calendar for next week.
Not this Sunday.
Not this week. I'll have to keep you posted on that. I think we'll start the winter season. We'll get ready for the winter season.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you posted on the date, the startup date. I'll have to look at my calendar. It's been this COVID stuff's been tough.
It's been tough, and it's been tough on, I know the ADs have to be pulling their hair out.
I don't think they have any left.
So, they probably have none left.
Probably no hair left to pull out for the past 7 months. Yeah.
None left after this, so.
Yeah, look at Larry. I don't think he has any hair left, does he?
No, yeah, right. He definitely does not.
Okay, thanks for joining us here tonight on Chalk Talk on WRGG LP Greencastle.
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. His land is biggest and his land is best. From grassy plains to the mountain crest, he's ahead of us all, meeting the test, following his legend into the west. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. King of the wild frontier.
WRGG LP, Greencastle.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Liling Tan. 3 people were killed in a knife attack at a church in the southern French city of Nice in what the French president is calling an Islamist terrorist attack. From FSN's Paris bureau, Ross Cullen reports.
The mayor of Nice said that one of the 3 people who died was killed in a horrible way. That's how he characterised it, saying it was similar to what happened to Samuel Paty, the 47-year-old teacher who was decapitated 2 weeks ago. The President and the Prime Minister held a crisis meeting and the anti-terrorism prosecutor has opened an investigation. The attacker was shot and wounded by police and, according to the mayor, he shouted Allah Akbar, or God is great in Arabic, during the attack, which the mayor said was a tragedy, saying we have been struck again by Islamofascism.
A major new study claims nearly 100,000 people in England are catching COVID-19 every day, and existing measures to control the spread of the virus are not working. FSN's Holly Hudson reports from London.
The REACT 1 study by Imperial College London is seen as one of the most accurate assessments of the epidemic. And according to researchers, the spread of the virus is accelerating in all regions of England, with the number of people infected now doubling every 9 days. Scientists say current policy isn't doing enough to drive down transmission and are once again urging tougher action. The UK government, though, still insists now is not the right time for a national lockdown in England. That's despite one ongoing in Wales. But more questions are now being raised about their approach, and pressure is increasing on ministers, particularly after France and Germany turn to their own forms of a lockdown.
U.S. President Donald Trump and rival candidate Joe Biden are both campaigning in the critical swing state of Florida as fresh economic data show U.S. GDP growing at a record pace. From our Washington bureau, Simon Marks reports.
President Trump's campaign message in Florida will be enhanced by the publication this morning of GDP numbers showing the U.S. economy grew at a record 33% in the third quarter of this year. But given the depth of America's recession, voters know the country is by no means out of the woods, especially with a fresh wave of COVID-19 infections now itself setting records all over the nation. Joe Biden's message in Florida and nationally is that you can't fix the economy without controlling the virus.
I'm not running on the false promise of being able to end this pandemic by flipping a switch. But what I can promise you is this. We will start on day one doing the right things. We'll let science drive our decisions. We will deal honestly with the American people.
And the former vice president is hoping that message resonates, but he knows in the Sunshine State he's trailing President Trump, with Hispanic and Latino voters especially.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Proudly supporting WRGG, ELM Department Store has been your local source for quality men and women's clothing, specializing in big and tall sizes for men. ELM Department Store has been providing personalized clothing solutions to customers from Greencastle and surrounding communities since 1941. ELM Department Store, conveniently located on the square in Greencastle, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Mike Stinger here, the big guy at your hometown hardware, also known as Lumber Direct. All joking aside, folks, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all our supporters that came to us during this pandemic. I don't have a big hurrah, just a sincere and heartfelt moment of thanks for our employees, customers, and friends that just stopped by to say hello. Also, a special moment for all the local businesses that have supported our community as well. Again, thanks from all of us at Lumber Direct, 10 East Water Avenue in Greencastle.
Lumber Direct, one of the fine sponsors supporting the programming at WRGG.
Set the dial on the Wayback Machine. Crank up your radio. It's rock and roll in the rear view mirror. Tune in this week when we take a look back at This Week in Rock and Roll History.
This Week in Rock and Roll History, every Saturday at 2 p.m. and again at midnight on Greencastle Antrim's 93.7 WRGG.
WRGG weather.
Now the weather forecast for WRGG. For this afternoon, cloudy skies with rain, possibly heavy at times, high in the mid-50s. North winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, cloudy with rain, low in the mid-40s. North winds at around 10 miles per hour. Friday, breezy with a chance of isolated morning showers, then becoming partly cloudy, high in the lower 50s. Friday night, partly cloudy, low in the mid-30s. And Saturday, mostly sunny skies, high around 50. For WRGG, I'm nowcast meteorologist Jim Vaughn.
B-A-C-A-T-I-O-N. In the summer sun. Put away the books, we're out of school. The weather's warm, but we'll play it cool. We're on vacation, having lots of fun. B-A-C-A-T-I-O-N. In the summer sun. We're gonna grab a bite at the pizza stand. All right.
'cause I've seen some hot, hot places come down to smoke and ash. We love our loving, not like we love our freedom.
We're all staying at home more now. You'll want your place looking its very best. Mark's Lawn Care is ready to help. Mulch, decorative stone, gravel, and topsoils are available at the lower level of 400 North Antrim Way. You may web order at markslawncare.org or call in and order for no contact of customer with employee service. Delivery can be arranged just $10 in the borough of Greencastle. At location pickup is available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays 8 till 2. For all your landscaping needs, it's Mark's Lawn Care, North Antrim Way, Greencastle.
Classical music from across the centuries and from around the world, featuring great choral, vocal, and instrumental compositions in a wide variety of styles and genres. I'm Bill Cromwell. Join me on the third floor each week for a 3-hour journey of exploration and enjoyment, alongside some of the greatest composers of all time. Sunday mornings from 8 to 11 on 93.7 WRGG Greencastle.
Some girls love to run around, love to handle everything they see. But my girl has more fun around, and you know she'd rather be with me. You're my lucky guy is what I am. Tell you why you'll understand. She don't fly, although she can. Some boys love to run around. They don't think about the things they do. But this boy wants to settle down, and you know he'd rather be with you. You're my lucky guy is what I am. Tell you why you'll understand. She don't fly, although she can.
You looked inside my fantasies and made each one come true. Something no one else had ever found a way to do. I've kept the memories one by one since you took me in. I know I'll never love this way again. I know I'll never love this way again, so I keep holding on before the good is gone. I know I'll never love this way again. Hold on, hold on, hold on. A fool will lose tomorrow, reaching back for yesterday. I won't turn my head in sorrow if you should go away. I'll stand here and remember just how good it's been. And I know I'll never love this way again. I know I'll never love this way again. So I keep holding on before the good is gone. I know I'll never love this way again. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I know I'll never love this way again, so I keep holding on before the good is gone. I know I'll never love this way again. Hold on, hold on. I know I'll never love this way again, so I keep holding on before the good is gone. I know I'll never
There's a certain sound always follows me around. When you're close to me, you will hear it. It's the sound that lovers hear when they discover there could be no other for their love. It's my happy heart to hear, singing loud and singing clear, and it's all because you're near me, my love. Take my happy heart away, let me love you night and day. In your arms I wanna stay, oh my love. Feeling more and more like I've never felt before. You have changed my life so completely. Music fills my soul now. I've lost all control now. I'm not half, I'm whole now with your love. It's my happy heart you hear, singing loud and singing clear, and it's all because you're near me, my love. Take my happy heart away, let me love you night and day. In your arms I wanna stay, oh my love. These eyes cry every night for you. These arms long to hold you again. The heavens on me, yeah. And I will never be free, no, my baby, no, no. You gave a promise to me, yeah. You broke it, oh no. These eyes watched you bring my world to an end. This heart could not accept and pretend. The heavens on me, yeah. And I will never be free, no, no, no. You took the vow with me, yeah. You spoke it, These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes cry every night for you. These arms long to hold you again. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another.
Life is amazing. We come into this world innocent and wide-eyed, filled with wonder, curiosity, and joy. And soon, we meet disappointment. Then we realize that darkness and difficulties are a part of life for everyone. Our world is a swirling cauldron of ideas and philosophies. What is truth? Where is fulfillment? Is there really a source of hope or love? Christians believe that all our questions find their answers in God, and that God has given a guidebook, an owner's manual, the Bible. Today's inspirational thought is brought to you by the congregation of Otterbein United Brethren Church at the corner of Leitersburg and South Allison Streets in Greencastle. Our goal, to be a church that cares, connecting, affirming, reaching, equipping, and sending. Our website is greencastleub.org.
Superstars. There have been so many of them in our world throughout history. People who have mega reputations because they have mega gifts or mega personalities or have performed mega achievements. Every area of life has produced its superstars. George Washington, Barbara Mandrell, Mahatma Gandhi, Frank Lloyd Wright, Adolf Hitler, Ralph Nader, Julius Caesar, Clark Gable, Alexander the Great, Orville and Wilbur Wright, Mohammed, Willie Nelson, Martin Luther, Abraham Lincoln, Amelia Jackson, Cleopatra of the Nile, the Apostle Paul, Michael Jordan, Neil Armstrong,